Let me wait for people to get in here because I am doing another pop-up live podcast style. Hopefully you don't mind. Let me see. Let me wait. Let's see how many people get in here. When you come in, let me know how my connection is because I hardwired my computer today and I wanted to see if it's a better connection. It should be a better connection, but I can't really see on my side. Yes, I'm keeping this up. So if you're busy, you're trying to get to your kids, I completely understand. You can always come back. This is going to be saved and it's going to be public. So, okay. So just let me know if anytime throughout this live, the connection is like wonky or weird or laggy, just let me know. So I wanted to talk about the Love is Blind, Ayanna, Jared, their marriage, how Ayanna has finally came out and has made it known that he did in fact cheat on her. And I wanted to talk about this because I see so many comments of women saying, well, she was second choice and she should have known that this was going to happen. And I just don't think that's fair, in my opinion. And the reason is because she took a chance. She took a chance and it did not turn out the way that she had hoped. Bliss also was second choice. And it seems like, and I'm Bliss and Zach, Bliss from this current season took a choice and it seems like it's working for her. Hello, Themis. How are you doing this evening? Thank you. So she took a chance. I don't think that Ayanna has a lot of experience. She even admitted on her podcast that during this time she was extremely naive. And I see a lot of this in my comment section of girls who don't have that much experience but have a know it all type of attitude. And again, when you're actually caught in or you're in the middle of a situation that involves your feelings, your emotions, you're being hopeful, you're being optimistic, it can actually cloud your judgment and cloud your discernment. So, what I would like to talk more about is how to have discipline when your emotions, when your feelings, when you're romanticizing and fantasizing a relationship and how it could work, how to remain disciplined so that you're more logical in this space because not that many women are taught that. You know, you can sit up and you can teach your daughter to make the perfect choice and decision when it comes to men, but when her feelings and her emotions are involved, she has developed an attachment. You actually need to teach her how to be disciplined enough to be more logical instead of being in her heart and choosing love because that can actually play her. Bliss chose love, and so did Ayanna, but Ayanna is being dragged. So I think that's something that we need to focus on because, you know, to me, there's no perfect way to make a decision. And it's harder when you are attached. It's harder when you are in that space with that person and you're hopeful. So, how do we teach women to be more logical when they're mentally in this space? I think that's something that we need to talk about. I was actually shocked that Bliss went through with her choice of being second choice. I was shocked with her decision. And one thing that stuck out to me with Bliss was she kept saying how she had to step outside of her ego to even take him serious. which I thought that was interesting because I'm like, I was shocked that she even made that decision. I was very shocked. So I don't know. I think it's easy to just assume what a person should do. But again, when you don't have the attachment, when you don't have the emotions, when you don't have your feelings involved in a situation, from the outside looking in, it just makes perfect sense that she should have never went through with marrying this man. And I think she was being influenced during this time as well, which I don't think a lot of people are considering. I mean, the influence had to have been thick on this show because, first of all, let's think about this show. We're not talking about just a regular dating world where you're meeting someone and you find out that they have you in a lineup. This is a dating show. It's a experiment. It's abnormal. It's not the traditional way to go about meeting someone. So I think that also played a major factor in why she may have went through with being seen on TV as second choice, was because the whole setup is just very odd to begin with. Like it's a dating show. It's almost like a dating show game. So from the very beginning, I think the influence around this show had a lot to do with her decision, because this is an abnormal thing to meet someone that you've never seen through pods, and you are supposed to make your decision by dating a series of people that you have conversations with behind a wall that you've never seen. So I just think it's unfair to say, oh, she shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have done that. But I'm like, this whole entire reality show and the way that it's made and the way that it's set up is abnormal. So I don't know, to say what's right and what's wrong in this setting. It's kind of hard to do because, again, it worked for Bliss, but it did not work for Ayanna. So that's something that you always have to consider as well, is that the nature of this show is just not normal. It's very abnormal. And I think that also influenced her decision. But I'm excited to get more information on this situation and to learn more about what was happening behind the scenes. But before I get into this reaction with Ayanna and the fact that she went on Little Black Book 91, his YouTube channel, I also want to talk about her mother, because I talk about this all the time. Sometimes older women can give you the worst advice when it comes to men and relationships. And the reason is because, I mean, the older women, they went through and they tolerated a lot of stuff from men. They were being groomed, encouraged, and taught to put up with a lot from men. And so when you go and you get advice from your mother, your older aunties, and things like that, sometimes they can give you the worst advice of your life. And I think that was another factor to this situation with Ayanna that people are kind of glossing over. Her mother told her to stay in this relationship, in this toxic relationship, knowing that this man was not treating her right. And it's interesting because this happens more often than you think. There are so many young women out here that are being misguided by their own mothers. Me personally, with my own personal experience, my mom gave me horrible advice. And I think she honestly was just excited to see me with someone because she has never seen me with anyone. I was very picky, very selective when it came to meeting men and who I brought around my family. And so when I finally did bring someone around, I think she was just really excited to see me with someone. So much so to the point where when I asked her for advice about a particular situation, she basically told me that you have to give people room to change and you need to really just be there for them and try to work through, your issues or your problems. You can't expect for men to just have it all together and all put together. And it was just a horrible, horrible experience for me after that, because I really should have left. So Ayanna was also caught in a similar situation. She was being encouraged by her mother to stay in this marriage, and her mother knew everything that happened. She knew what happened. She knew what was going on within the relationship and how Ayanna was basically being isolated in that apartment by herself. She wasn't being I don't even think she was being prioritized in her marriage when she was married to Jared at all. I mean, he really just carried himself like a single man, staying out till, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as early as 7 a.m. in the morning. That's insane. So I really don't think she was ever a priority for this man. And it's insane to me because I'm just like, how do you go on a dating show looking for a wife, but you live as if you're single, as if you never signed up for this marriage, as if you never signed up for this show? I mean, that is insane. And then he had a blow up mattress. It was just a lot going on for me where it was just, I saw so many signs that this man wasn't really ready, in my opinion. But again, I mean, when you mix that in with attaching yourself to a person, and then you mix that in with being influenced by this show, by your family, by the women on the show, and things like that, it could really cloud your judgment. So I'm going to give you the advice, ladies, that if you decide to date a man, keep it private. And the reason I say that, and when I mean private, I'm not saying a secret, private, 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 private. You don't need to be influenced by other people when you're trying to figure out things for yourself. Now, if you go to someone and you need advice, make sure it's just one person that you trust, that is healthy in the mind, that can give you really good advice. And I would recommend like an advisor, a counselor, a therapist. Your mother may not be the best choice. She may not be the best choice. So I think you should keep your relations private. I noticed that on this show as well, that is very normal in the culture surrounded around this show, that you kind of tell your business to the other girls and all of that, and you share, about your relationship and your experience and everything. I am so against that because it can influence you, and it could not, it could get to a point where it's unhealthy for you. So it's just best to keep it private, not a secret, but private. But let me go ahead and share this clip because I knew something was up when I saw this on After the Altar, but I just didn't know how bad it was.
I just need to know I can trust you, that you can love her, that you can correct the actions that you need to, that you can carry y'all's relationship, because too many people have let her down. And for me, like when someone calls you at 7 a.m. and the way she was looking and as sad as she was, like, my immediate thought was, I'm coming up there and I'm about to hurt somebody. Like,
on sight.
I can't get another call like that. I need you to cherish her and love her. I promise you she's worth it. But please, no more calls. It's like, I can't. I just told her, like, I don't want to be there.
All right. So this made me realize how hands-on Ayanna's mother could have been within her relationship. And ladies, I have to be honest with you. The worst thing you could ever do is tell your family too much, or tell your mom too much, or even tell your friends too much. You should always have one dedicated person that you could go to for your own sanity and mental health. But that man did not care. And I think her mother was really trying to force this. I don't know why. I mean, if you even have to pull this man to the side to convince him further, then you're forcing it. You're forcing it. You're trying to get this man to be something that maybe he does not want to be. So it's just, I see the red flags as far as her mother being too much involved and influential as well in her relationship, which may have caused her to stay longer in this marriage than she needed to. So I think she should have cut her losses way sooner than she did. So always keep that in mind. I get a lot of pushback on my channel because I have this stance to not take advice from older women. And y'all know it's not all of them, it's some of them. Like, you really don't know until they say something or they do something. But one thing that I've noticed about the older women, they're so used to putting a man before their own well-being. And Michelle Obama, she recently came out and she talked about how she had 10 bad years in her marriage, but she stuck it out. And she said that she would rather have 10 she would rather have 10 years of bad marriage than to get a divorce or to separate from Obama. And I just think that's kind of insane to me, but that's how those women were raised. And then some women are going to say, well, you're not ready for marriage, you're not prepared for marriage. And I'm just like, why does it always involve the woman suffering for 10 years in a marriage for us to get what we need or to get what we want? That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to be careful when it comes to the older generation of women, because 10 bad years of marriage, and basically during that time her needs were not being met, she felt neglected, and she was just, her and Obama were just not in the best place. So I don't know, that's why I'm like, you have to be careful about taking advice from the older generation of Black women. And it's not anything against them, because that's what they're taught. They're taught to hold it down. They're taught to stick it out. They're taught to be there. But again, it's always when the woman has to suffer. It's never the other way around. I never see how I never see these men being encouraged to stay, or see them encouraged to not cheat, to work it out, to fix it. It's always put on the woman. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, because I haven't been married, and I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm always the one suffering in the relationship. Like, where's my happiness? Where's my peace in that? So I don't know. It's a lot. But let's go ahead and get into this reaction, because she was on the Little Black Book 91, and I wanted to react to it. So let me go ahead and play this.
Because
I forgot. Also, let me know about the connection as well.
Oh, there they go.
I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear my laptop. My laptop's, oh no, it's been crazy. But how are you doing again? I apologize, because I can actually hear the first time. So
no, you're okay. I'm good. I expected this to an extent, but it's like I almost forget what it's like to feel this raw all the time, and I'm like, oh fuck, why did I do this? But it's okay. It's okay.
I hear you. I was literally just saying, I don't know what part you got in, and I was saying that, and I ain't gonna lie to me, I was harsh on you. I can't lie to you. I said, because no, I'll be real, because I'm all about behavior here. So whenever I talk about a situation, I talk about behavior. But this time around, I did say on this occasion, I wanted to hold Jarrett accountable, because
as you should,
if you're cheating, unless you're gonna come out and tell me unless you were cheating too, and that's why he cheated or something like that, I can't see what excuses he can come up with again after this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've been wrecking my brain trying to figure out what he could possibly come up with, and the top things I can think about is maybe one scenario when we first got married, and then maybe me not being supportive enough, or I don't know, or me not being patient enough. He loves to say that. But I mean, again, there are some flaws I had in that marriage, and I'll be the first to say that. But the issue is that none of my behaviors were so detrimental that led to like the dissolution of our marriage, and that's just it.
I'm not shocked that Jared is trying to take the approach that he's the victim in this situation after being exposed for cheating, because he could have did that right after. He could have did that around the time that they announced that they were getting a divorce. But I think it's it's premeditating, in my opinion, for him to want to do it now. Like, why didn't you do it then? Why are you doing it now? And trying to paint yourself to be the victim over holding yourself accountable for the fact that you did in fact cheat. I don't respect that. I don't respect that at all. So that's weird to me.
That's just the truth of it. Like, yes, there were things that I needed to work on. It's like there are things that I need to. I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I nor do I ever admit that. I'm a hot mess. However, like I just like I would never. I would have been a great partner to someone who is a good partner to me, and that's
I
just
hear
the
that.
truth of it.
I hear that. I'm intrigued because I'm intrigued, and I'll say why I'm intrigued because
Mhm.
obviously now this information has come out. Now I haven't watched the actual interview. We only saw the clips.
Mhm.
So I saw the clips this morning. People have been messaging me saying I should review it, and I just saw the clips.
Mhm.
So just a quick, maybe for anyone who hasn't seen the clips as well. It's been almost like a year now. So you've kind of
Mm,
was it a year? Like a year?
It's
Longer?
been 5 months since our divorce. Not
Okay,
even
so 5
6
months since
yet.
divorce. Okay.
Yes.
So 5 months since the divorce. What made you now come out with the information at this point? Is it because you found out just now, or is it something that just
No.
okay?
I knew. I found out 3 days before after the altar started filming, and I immediately wanted a divorce, but my mom made me pause and like, Ayanna, you're making a rash decision. I'm not saying don't leave him or leave him. What I am saying is make sure you have a clear head when you do it.
Mm,
And so I know some people get over cheating, and I was like, okay, well maybe I can be one of those people. Knowing damn well I already said that it was a deal breaker for me, but it was a marriage, so I wanted to try to.
I told you. Now I have not sat down and watched this. This is me watching it with you. Okay. So get your popcorn, get you something to eat. I told you, when you are in a relationship with a person, you got to understand that you see sides of them that your mother does not see. Your family does not see. Your friends do not see, because it's so crazy to me. Like, I've been in a situation where a man can put on the best performance when your family and your friends are around, but then he goes right back to treating you like he was treating you when they're not around. And it's just insane to me. So always keep that in mind. This is why telling your family too much, telling your friends too much, it can be actually harmful to you, because they're influencing you in ways based off of how he presents himself to them, but not how he is presenting himself to you. So it puts you in a really sticky situation. So always keep that in mind. I mean, the way some of these men act in front of your family, they could win an Oscar, and then they go right back to how they was treating you when they're not around. So you have to be careful about that. You have to be careful about that. And that's another learning a learning lesson for her, because again, I don't think Ayanna has that much experience. And you could tell her parents are kind of sheltering, overbearing. I get that from her mother. So again, I talk about the sheltered girl. I talk about the girl that grew up sheltered, and how your parents being too involved in your life choices and decisions, you end up in situations with toxic men and narcissists. I tell you this all the time, because you're passive. You were raised to be that way because your parents sheltered you. They made all of these decisions and choices for you. They always basically held your hand when it came to making choices and decisions. And so it's so easy to link up with a toxic person or a narcissist simply because you don't know how to make your own decisions and choices. And so you link with someone that is controlling. It's really that simple, because your parents are controlling. Just saying.
Try to push through and try to work it out, but he continued to show me that he likes to live in the gray, and that's just not okay for me. I want to be able to trust my husband. So after my year mark, and I gave myself a deadline, I was like, I just want to give him a year and I want to see what happens. And then I
mm,
was like, bro, I can't do this. I can't do it. And so I asked for a divorce. But then once the divorce happened, I immediately went into protection mode, and it took me a while to detach as his wife. I felt like I still owed him something to a degree, because that level of commitment is like insane. And so I protected him for a while, but it started to eat at me that I had this podcast and I had this audience where I talk about healing and trauma and relationships, and I couldn't be honest about that. And I was going through it behind the scenes, and so I felt like at some point, like, bro, I can't protect you anymore. And the crazy part is we had this conversation. I told him that eventually I felt like I was going to get to this point. He said, no, it's okay. Like, you talk about it. You don't have to protect me. And now I realized after the fact that that was also manipulation.
mm,
But Like, it is what it is, man. But and in some ways, I'm happy it's out there. At the same time, I don't want him to get flack for this because it makes it harder for someone to grow. But I mean, it is what it is, man. He shouldn't have did it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, he shouldn't have. And that's why I said there's a genuinely no excuse. So you know, I think I didn't get show the audience, but I was looking at, I think, whatever his Instagram.
I just want to add, ladies, please understand that your loyalty dies when you are betrayed. You don't owe a person anything after they betray you. How can you be loyal to someone that's not loyal to you? Loyalty goes both ways. Loyalty has the ability to expire, like milk, if that's what a person wants to do. So this being, you know, still thinking and considering that person is just downright awful to yourself, because at this point you're betraying yourself. Where's the self-love? You don't owe anyone anything after they betray you. They stab you in the back, like cheating. You just don't. Loyalty has the ability to expire. And I wish more women would adopt this thought process. Like, how can you still be loyal to someone that was not loyal to you? And then you caught him cheating because a woman reached out to you via email. But what about all the things that you don't know? What about all the other things that you don't know? Because you can't trust someone that was willing to cheat on you and then hide it. And the only way that it was exposed to you was because one of the girls had, I don't even know, the decency to reach out and say, hey. But what about all the stuff that you don't know about? Like all those times that she was at home isolated, he was out till 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. Who was he really with? Or was he really working? What was he really doing? So no, your loyalty, that loyalty is expired. Like you don't owe him nothing.
Thing was whatever. And to, you know, and I said to the audience, I said, this is kind of interesting because I think the last time I saw that was when I think you had come up and you would start doing your first interviews the first time round. And then he was like, I'm going to tell my truth. And so I said to the audience, it's kind of interesting that we're back here again. Now we're going to tell us about the cheating thing that's happened. Now he's going to tell us the truth. And I'm like, as a man to man, I'm like, why are you waiting till this is being said? You should have just got ahead of it. You could have saved yourself the trouble. You could have,
oh my
God. You know what I mean?
You don't even understand how frustrating that, because when I saw he had this podcast and I would listen to his podcast in the beginning and I realized it was way too triggering for me because I would hear him say things like she wasn't patient enough and she didn't give me enough time. And I'm like, why can't you just be honest? And I'm trying to give you the time and the grace to just be honest eventually.
Ladies, now we all know that when you are referring to a black male, and I knew it was a red flag. I knew it was a red flag when he kept complimenting her in the pods about how resilient she was and how strong she was. When men highlight those characteristics, especially when it's a black man, it's giving, I'm going to put you through hell to see how far you can bend for me. We all know what that's about. So this does not surprise me. Like what she's saying, like, I can't believe he would say that on the podcast about I needed to be more patient. Basically saying I needed you to just be there, be my doormat, and just accept me for all of the shit that I'm going to put you through because that's how strong I need you to be. Crazy. Crazy. I can't do it. I can't do it. So be careful about that. Like men who compliment you on how strong you are. Ooh-wee. I don't know. I don't know. Especially when they're black men. I don't know. I don't know about that. It triggers me a little bit because we know when they measure our strength, it's about us suffering. Like it's about us being oppressed. Like it's every time they compliment us on strength and how resilient we are, it has a lot to do with us being traumatized, literally traumatized, and they find that to be beautiful to them. It's very weird. Like I don't no ma'am.
But he just kept feeding into the lie that I told to protect him, and at my expense. And I was getting flack for why our marriage ended, and I was being hypercritical, and I was and granted I was very critical of him, but it's because I mean I was just like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing? And but that was my first mistake. I should have trusted my gut and I should have said no. But nonetheless, I was already married at that point by the time I saw my mistake and I just had to try to work it out. But I told him that I'm like, man, I gave you the grace. You could have been honest about this. You could have like come out and talked about if you wanted true vulnerability with your audience, like you could have talked about this. But now like he's upset that I'm not protecting him anymore. And I get why. I mean, I've done it this whole entire marriage. So I get why he's upset. He's throwing a tantrum. But I mean, I really just hope he grows from this, man. I hope he like, but it's not my responsibility. It's just not my responsibility anymore.
Hold on, I'm gonna change my thing now. I think it's working now, so I'm gonna remove. Okay. I know what happened. Ooh. Okay, I think I should be able to hear you now. So I think I can hear you now. That was me. All right. Oh, sorry about that. Yes. So okay. So obviously now, so it's out there in the open. You've told us that you covered him and he was cheating. I'm intrigued now. From a psychological perspective, I'm intrigued. I know you were married, but what was going through your mind as to why you were covering him for so long? Because me, I'm also a coverer too, but I'm I also like to cover people. But I want to know why for you were intent on covering him.
For me, I mean, even seeing how people are reacting now, I don't think anyone deserves to be bashed like that. The Shushes or the Jays of the world, like no one deserves to be bashed like that. People make mistake. Oh shit, I don't even say that's a mistake. But even still, like I don't want to say that. I think it's a character flaw. But even still, like no one deserves to be bashed like that. And that's what I wanted to protect him from, because no one knows what it's like to be, unless you're in it, to be in this position, to be this raw, and for people, especially people who don't know you.
I want to say this too. I can tell Ayanna is an empath because she keeps talking about how he feels, 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 how this is gonna impact him, how he. Well, what about you? That's why when you're an empath, your whole journey is going to be about choosing yourself and self-love. If you are an empath, it's all about you putting yourself first, because you struggle with that. You struggle with putting yourself first. You struggle with choosing yourself. You struggle with thinking about how you feel before how other people feel. So you tend to overcompensate how this may affect your decisions, may affect some other person. And then the worst part about it is they don't care. When they make decisions and when they do things, they don't care. They don't care how it affects you. They don't care if it hurts you. They don't care. That's why your journey during this lifetime is going to be about you choosing yourself. That's going to be your healing journey. And it's going to be a forever thing. Forever. It's insane how much compassion that she has for this man. Like it's sickening, but at the same time, it's like the world lacks this level of compassion. Like imagine if everyone had this level of compassion, right? But this level of compassion is hurting her. Like it's hurting her. And that's what I want empaths to understand. Okay. Thank you, Kojo. I think I'm pronouncing your name right. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure your channel was being highlighted through this live stream. So make sure you subscribe to his channel if you're interested. He does a lot of topics on reality TV shows and dating shows and things like that if you're interested. And his commentary is very insightful for the male perspective. So let's continue.
To be coming at you like this. And granted, we signed up for this. Granted, we continue to sign up for this. But it's just a very human experience being lived very abnormally, and in front of thousands to watch. So I wanted to protect him from that, and I thought it was my duty to some extent to do that, because he is dealing with a lot, and he doesn't have a lot of good support. I mean, he has support, but he doesn't have very healthy support around him, and I knew that I was one of the only people to provide that, and I felt a sense of responsibility even after the fact, knowing damn well it wasn't my responsibility. Not anymore. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, that is fair. I mean, like I said, I was surprised that it came out now. I've been telling the
Yeah.
audience, this
I've
situation
been
a little bit. Yeah.
processing, man. I've been processing. Look, at some point, I realized it was eating at me. And I was like, this is at my detriment, and you're feeding off of this lie. And I was like, I can't do it anymore, man. I really can't do it anymore. I was like, I just got to release it. And it's crazy because as soon as I did, I felt so free.
Yep.
I felt so free, man. I was like, wow, like this is what it feels. And then it's like something happened in my brain where I detached. Because I will say again, it was hard for me to detach as like the role of his wife, because I had to train myself to love him, even though I didn't like his character and I didn't like his behavior. And
I don't think that she doesn't love herself. I don't think that she loves herself to the level of compassion that she has for other people. And this is what empaths tend to struggle with. So, an unhealed empath at that. So, please understand that. Like, I think she loves herself, but I don't think that she loves herself to the capacity of the compassion that she extends to other people. I don't think that she loves herself to that extent, which may be what she's struggling with. But hopefully this experience, it reveals that to her.
and that was a lot for me. But I saw being a wife as a role. It was my duty to be good for him, or try my best to be good for him, and as best as I could be. But learned lessons, man. I'm also like, I have to remember I'm in my 20s. Like, I'm trying to figure it out, y'all.
Still young.
I'm still young,
So I guess for you then, okay, so I have a question. So, I mean, of course, that's why I have a question. But I mean, so for you then, what if you kind of like, because you said on the video, the clip, you said compatibility issue, even aside of cheating, the compatibility issue happened. So I want to know what happened that you missed that aspect, because I was saying just before you came on that, you know what?
Oh my God, you guys saw it. You guys all saw it, and we definitely trauma bonded in the pods. The crazy part is like the pods gives you.
I told y'all, I said that was a red flag. Now, remember when I did my review on this show during that season, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like they trauma bonded in the pods, and it was such a red flag for me. I also want to add, TD, thank you, because I just did a live stream the other day. It's on my Patreon. I talk about the empath. And she said, I'm a healed empath, but remember, being just like her, same. And being Christian makes it harder. So true, because within the religion, you're taught to be selfless. You're taught to be selfless. So it's hard. It makes it very, very hard. So I relate to that so much. Thank you. Let's continue.
You an opportunity to just be so open and raw, and I didn't take into account that it was the experiment, and it just gave you an opportunity. And my assumption in my very young mind, so wait.
That's all right, you probably got a call. It usually happens.
This was a good interview, by the way.
Screw it up. No,
it's okay. It's
okay.
It comes. Go for
my food orders here. But yeah. So
go and grab the food order. You can come back. This is an impromptu. Go and grab the food order.
I just had to ring them in. It's okay. They're
okay.
Gonna bring it to my door.
No worries.
But I thought that I assumed that he was someone who was so open and so vulnerable, because I am, but I didn't realize it was the experiment until we got into real life. But even still, when we were in the experiment and living it through, I didn't see the conversations that he was having with his friends like you guys saw. I didn't see how his friends were talking about him. I didn't see how his sister was talking about him. And there was so much behind the scenes, and we were so much gung-ho about it's us versus production. It's us versus production, because we saw how other people were being manipulated. And I was like, I don't want that for us. And so it wasn't until the cameras left did we look at each other and go, whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck? And things started to play out. And I kid you not, it took 2 to 3 months for me to realize I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I realize that now, and there was nothing I could do about it. I mean, there was, but like we were already married, and I was like, I made a choice, and I feel like I have to stick it through and at least see it through, which I did. and I did my best. He did his best too, with what.
I just want to stop her right there. Yes, I would be open to it, but this is my only thing, okay? Because y'all know how I am. I'm very direct and honest. Does Kojo have any skeletons in his closet that his audience doesn't know about? And I have to say that his audience doesn't know about because we all have made mistakes. We all have a past. But is he hiding it? Because that's the only thing that would keep me from going on his platform. He seems like a really nice guy. I like a lot of his perspective and takes. This interview is amazing because he's asking all the questions that we want to know. But if he has any skeletons in his closet, I have to keep my distance because I have to protect my platform, my brand, and keep my, YouTube space safe as I can. So just let me know. But I would be open to it. I'm always open.
Yeah, but
when you say us against the world, because that's a major, that really does bond people together, us against the world. So just kind of make us understand what that is from your perspective, because when I hear us against the world, I know what I think. But what does that mean for you when you say us against the world?
Just like going into reality TV, you're aware of the manipulation that can happen and the poking and the prodding, and so we were very protective of our relationship. But what I realized is that it caused us to kind of ignore some real issues, especially me to ignore some real issues. And on top of the fact that I believe I didn't have enough time, so I had no choice but to kind of trust his words, although his actions were showing. But if I'm honest, I was gonna say no on the marriage day, and I told him I was going to say no, and he came to my apartment at like 5 a.m. in the morning. I mean, I'm at a hotel, convincing me like, no, this isn't me. I promise this isn't me. It's just a situation. It's the scenario. Like, it's not going to be like this after. And even though my gut was telling me, Ayanna, what are you doing? No, say no. I convinced myself that I was so traumatized that I couldn't trust my intuition at the time. And so I went forward and I said yes.
I don't know about that.
If I'm honest. Yeah.
Did your parents look like your parents? They looked like they were together. They looked like they really weren't for it. I'm gonna be honest with you. They looked like they were like, I support you, but we don't get this now.
They weren't for it, not in the beginning. My parents saw it, but the thing is my parents learned to just like let me, because I'm a hard-headed learner. I had to learn from experience. I'm so bad. And so they were just like, Ayanna, okay, we support you regardless. And then after the marriage, they were all for it because at that point we're already married. And they're like, this man is a part of our family. Let's accept him in. Let's try to be a support for him. Even after the cheating stuff, they were like, my dad was like, I want to be able to support you. Like, please reach out to me. But you didn't want that. And I get why, because like my parents would have held him accountable. But yeah, my parents weren't really for it in the beginning. You see why. I know it's already here. Okay, sorry, I have to go get my order.
Baby, you can go get the food and come back. Baby, listen, I eat on my live all the time, so don't worry about it. I got me some plantain chips ready for you.
I think it's at the. Not plantain chips. I love plantain chips.
We all love a good plantain chip, baby. It's just about as healthy as you
want. I bet you were so shocked. You did not expect this.
I'm gonna lie to you. When I see the name there, I was like, someone's pulling my leg. People like to play leg on internet. So I was like, you know what? Just send her a link. If she really is true, we'll know when the camera comes up. I didn't think it was going to be you, honestly.
The crazy part is like I just happened to stumble on YouTube, and
great.
I've seen your videos before.
Oh, we're humbled.
I've seen your videos before, because of course, I mean, when people are talking about me, I want to see what they have to say. And for the most part, I'm like, oh, this guy has some sense. I see what he means. I mean, it hurts when you hear somebody telling the truth about you.
Yeah.
But you go a little bit deep. But I was like, you know what? I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So I can't be mad at that.
Ooh, I like it.
So I think as soon as I got on YouTube, like you popped right back up, and I was like, oh. Okay.
You know what? That's the good Lord, that I serve, because you know what happened today in the shower, I was praying and I said to God, listen, we need, Lord, for you to open up some more doors. I don't know how you're going to do it. I'm not asking how, but you're going to do it. And for this to happen, I'm just saying it's a good Lord that I serve. Jesus Christ.
It's like, surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Don't want you order the wings?
No,
listen, I got order.
Right, we all want to know.
Okay. I have a really bad Chick-fil-A breakfast obsession. It's like, it's not even healthy.
It depends on what you order though. Well, what did you order from Chick-fil-A? Because we're going to pull out.
The chicken minis, they're so good. They're so good. And I have an obsession with sweet tea. It's so bad.
I'm allow you. You get a little pass.
A little
I'm gonna be mad
pass.
at you. You gonna get a
I
little
like the
pass.
accent. A little pass.
You gonna get a little pass on my ass, you know, just a little chicken and egg. Okay, no worries at all. We're down with that. We're down with that. But no, I really do. It was interesting because I've been strong, and I think I've been strong because I think watching reality TV, one of the most amazing things is obviously, it's very Love is Blind is quite interesting, and shout out to yourself and Jarrett's journey. But I was telling the audience, like, I don't want anyone, and it's happened again this season as well with Bliss and Zach, and I've said the same thing, which is I don't like people choosing people second. Like I don't like it because
But you
because
gotta
people
you have to understand it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in an experiment.
Hold on,
like
my what?
And granted, I will say that like I also had a second choice, and I figured mine out like a day before Jared did too.
Wait a minute. Now, she made a great point here. How many of you are second choices and don't know? Like, think about how many women are second choices right now and they're in a marriage. That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole second choice, it's like, it's just not practical in my opinion. It's not. It's not. Like, some of y'all have already been second choices even when it came to prom and you don't even know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, to just give this girl so much fire and so much heat, it's like there are plenty of women that are second choices in society right now as we speak. That's why I don't like to take that angle, because it's just not a realistic angle. Now, if I knowingly know that a man has me in a lineup, I'm going to respectfully bow out, though. I am. I'm going to respectfully bow out because I have my own experience with that. And men tend to fantasize the woman that got away. And I would rather be the fantasy woman than the woman that stayed. That's just my opinion. That's just what I want for my life. But there are plenty of women in society that are second choices. There are plenty of women that are in marriages that are second choices. It's just life. So it's hard to just kind of beat her and bash her for that when it's so normal. Like, it's a normal thing. It's a normal part of society. It happens all the time. So I don't know. It's just seeing it play out. I could see how it was triggering to people, but on TV, to see it played on TV, but it happens more often than people would like to admit. Women would like to admit.
And so that's what I'm saying. It could have very well been the other way around. With an experiment like that, where you're dating 15 other people, it's an experiment. It's gonna happen. It's how you handle it. But this is why I think Zach and Bliss are gonna be okay, because Zach seems like he has a better character than Jared. I think they're gonna be fine. That's just my opinion. And plus, I met them in person.
I think they got great chemistry. I don't like it. I think they got great chemistry. But I'm gonna say this. Okay, so for instance, what you just said, right? You had a second choice, right? Yeah. But the reality is, you made a choice at the end. You still had a first choice. You know what I mean? No matter how close second is to first is always first.
That's
right?
true.
So for me, whenever someone's second, right, it's never good, because especially for us as men, when we're choosing, for men especially, when we're choosing somebody, like first and second is like, maybe for women it might be slightly different. Maybe you got a bit more grace when it comes to women choosing their first and second, because we all really know that women sometimes as well grow in attraction. Sometimes they're telling me all this stuff that women do, right? But for us as men, it's very, you know what I mean? So if you're number one, you're number one. Number two, I am hard pressed to find any man or any woman tell me a story where they said, I knew I was second, and yeah, we've been together for 15 years. Like, it's hard pressed. Yeah, because men oftentimes don't necessarily do that. So, you know, that's why I was like so hard on it. Like, yo, he's crying in a towel. This is, he wanted Mallory.
Okay.
You didn't get to see that until later, didn't it?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Mal in the pods that they didn't air. But I talked to Mal. I was like, Mal, please can you just tell me like the degree of upset he was? Because I just want to know if this man was like boo-hooing. Like, I don't have time to be dealing with that. And she's like, no, I mean, he was just like he was upset, yeah, but it wasn't that bad. And then when I saw it, and I saw this man like threw a full tantrum, I was like,
he threw a full tantrum.
I was like, are you kidding me? And I looked at him and I said, I've never seen a grown man cry like that. And he was like, Ayanna. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like, you was really boo-hooing over this woman. And I was like, is this you, bro? Is this you? He's like, no, it's not like that. I was like, okay. But the issue again isn't that he chose me second. It's that he treated me as if I were second. And even in life, he did. Second to himself, second to his friends, second to anything, really. And that was about the issue.
What was that about? Because we saw a little bit of that, but we didn't get a full explanation. Him going out, but you're at home, this kind of thing. We didn't get a full explanation. The show kind of showed it. didn't really dive deep into it. I felt really, I did feel a little bit bad. I was like, you two are on two different worlds. He's outgoing, you're ingoing. Yeah.
Hold on, wait. Before they get into him going out and the issue that he had with that, because that was a mess. This is so true. Thank you for commenting and super chatting this. She said there was a whole thread on Twitter of men saying their current wife/girlfriend were who they settled for because they lost the love of their lives. This happens so much more than women would like to admit. Okay. It happens a lot, like pretty often. So I don't know. I think, I don't know. I think if women don't see it happening, they don't think that it happens, but it actually does happen pretty often. So I don't even know. I think the conversation should be about how do you know you're not second choice? You don't. You don't. You don't know. You do not know. All I know is the best way to keep yourself out of situations like this with men who use you as a second choice is not to put up with bullshit. That's really it, ladies. I'm sorry. That's the only way you can really confirm things. Because like I said in my original commentary, I said, if I know that a man has me in competition, he has me in a lineup, and he's playing games, it's nothing for me to bow out of that competition. Like, listen, respectfully, it's not even like, oh, I have beef with you. Oh, I have something against you. It's not that at all. It's just, I'm going to bow out because I know I will be the woman that you're going to think about for the rest of your life because I walked away from you. And men keep telling women the truth, but women don't want to accept it. Like, you guys don't want to accept it. There was that one man that was on Cruise Season. He said men respect women who leave them, who will actually leave them, yet y'all still want to stay. Like, make it make sense. I will always leave. I'm going to tell y'all that now. I'm going to tell you that now. A man could never be comfortable with me because he will know straight up that I will leave him. Y'all afraid to leave, and it's just like, leave. Oh my God. He will respect you way more and never come back. That's the thing. You can't go back, sis. You have to leave and stay gone. And that's the only way he will respect you. But women cannot wrap their heads around, they can't wrap their head around the fact that, so you're telling me for me to have his respect, I can't see him again? Yes. Yes. You cannot see him again. Yes. It's done. It's over. Okay. You cannot see him again. That's the only way because he's toxic. Duh. Toxic people hurt themselves. That's what they do. They hurt themselves. They hurt people and they hurt themselves. That's why you need to leave their ass where they at. So I have that rule. Like, I'm not about to stay in no situation just to stay. Like, I'm going to always be that girl that leaves because he will think about me for the rest of his life. And I would rather him to think of me in that way than to be there and treat me like trash. Like, I would just rather be the girl that he's like, oh my God, I can't believe that I lost her. Oh my God, I can't believe that I let her get away. Yes, that's exactly what I want. I don't want it any other way. I want to be on that side. That's the side that I want to be on. That's the girl that I want to be. I do not want to be the girl in the marriage that's second choice and this man is fantasizing about this woman that left him. Like, I don't want to be in that position. I don't.
I don't know. So I'll be honest about that
chip
too.
as well, girl. Come on.
So I'll be honest about that as well. The show was filmed literally right after quarantine, and this is when I was in my full blown introvert mode. Like, I didn't want to leave the house. I had gotten so used to being in the house, and it was so overstimulating for me to leave the house. So I will say that's not actually me. I like to go out. I like to dance, which is why once I started getting the groove, like, I did start going. I probably started going out a little bit more than him once he started slowing down. It was like it was a normal amount. Okay, I don't overindulge, but nonetheless, like, this was right after or right during quarantine, really, and I hated leaving the house. And that's why he kept excusing his behavior of like going out so much. He was like, well, it's just because of quarantine. And like, I haven't been cooped up in the house. I'm an extrovert. And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. Like, I get that. So that's why the whole going out thing, but that wasn't a real issue. The real issue with him is the overindulgence and him coming home at like obscene, ridiculous times of the day. Like, it's like, why is the sun out and you're just not getting here? I don't understand. Yeah, so that was a real issue. Yeah. But
Wait,
that's
I feel
not
like
me.
I
I'm not
jumped.
that introverted.
Oh,
I'm
that's
really not
fair.
that introverted.
I,
Yeah.
I realized I jumped at the one because I didn't let you. Well, I let you finish, but I didn't ask a follow up question because I
Okay.
kind of downplayed it. When you said he came to your house at 5 a.m. to convince you, baby, I just need to know. I mean, because that's a tense time, right? It's tense because obviously you're about to make a
Yeah.
choice, make a decision.
Yeah.
I would love to know your thoughts and your feelings. So at 5 a.m. he comes to the door, you see him.
Yeah.
What's going on? What's happening at that moment in time? Because, like you said, you are at that point going to say no. So, what are going with the 5 a.m.? What's
Yeah.
happening there?
Well, because he was out. He was out that
Mm.
day. And quite honestly, I didn't understand the club scene. I don't like clubs. They are ridiculously overstimulating for me. And so I didn't know what entailed like being a club promoter and stuff like that. So he was telling me like he was working, and my dumb ass believed him. And I was like, oh, working? I was like, this late? He's like, yeah, we have to like do, and he started listing off tasks. And I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, but Jared, like, I don't understand. Like, and he just kept over explaining. And then eventually I was like,
Mm.
okay, well, I think I believe you. I think I believe you. And I was like, you know what?
Liars. Liars. Over explain. I told y'all that. Liars over explain themselves because they're trying to prove a lie to you. So they have to over explain. The truth is simple, it's cutthroat, and it's very straightforward. A lie is something that you have to convince someone of. So when someone is lying to you, they overshare and over explain. Always keep that in mind.
All right, I'm gonna take a chance. Sure. Why
Mm.
the fuck would I do that? But anyways,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
it's
I
in
know that's
hindsight.
what we're here for. Why would you want to?
Listen, look,
Why?
I don't
baby?
know. I'm still figuring it out.
Huh?
Okay,
That's what we want to
I
know,
don't
baby.
know. Traumatized kid don't know how to trust her own intuition. It's just like, man, lessons learned. When I tell you, like,
Mm.
lessons learned. I will never repeat those mistakes again. That's one thing about me, though. Once
That's
I
fair.
learn, like, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
That's
I
fair.
don't need to get beat up by life again.
No, that's very fair. I mean, okay,
I know, man.
so on my end, obviously, like how I often talk to people is, as much as we talk about the show and everything like that, we do like to talk about to understand where you're coming from because, I can talk about the show all day long, but we only see what we see. So, like you said,
Yeah.
you don't necessarily trust your intuition. What's behind that for you then? So, like, is that like from a childhood situation? Is that
Oh, for sure.
how you grew up?
Yeah, for sure. I do get weary about talking about my childhood trauma because I think people typically weaponize it against me. But I have gone through quite a few. So growing up, I also grew up like, and this is also part of the trauma bond. But I also grew up.
Nikki, do I need to hire a man to come on here and play my husband so that you will, I don't know, see what I'm saying as valuable? Is that what I need to do? Do I need to bring on a trophy man to present to you and be like, hey, sis, this is my man. Buy my course so you can get a man too? Is that what I need to do? Like, we're in the worst dating, I would say, phase in society. But because I don't have a man, that's a problem. That's weird. I think me being single in the worst season for dating is likely. It's very likely. Come on, seriously. Like if this was back in the day, I'd be like, "Oh, okay. You're right. I probably shouldn't be speaking on this." But in today's society, with everyone feeling like they have options, everyone feels like they don't have to fully commit even when they're married. Come on, seriously? I don't get that. I don't get that. There are single people in marriage right now acting like they're not committed and they haven't been in a marriage for that long when they have. So I don't know.
Like Jared, where it was like a very strict household, except we responded in very different ways. But it was a very, very strict household, and I wasn't allowed to make my own choices. She made all the choices for me down to like what I wore and where I went, of course, because I was a teenager. But it was like times 10, times 10, and I didn't really get to live out my own choices or figure things out until I got to college, and I went buck wild for 2 years, and then after that I started to settle down. And that's why I also empathize with Jared, because I understood where he was. What I should have taken into account is that he was 32 at the time, and that he had plenty of time to adjust and to take responsibility for his own trauma and healing. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. I just like, yeah, so I think I never really learned to completely trust my intuition, and
That's real.
I had really just gotten to a point, I think, during quarantine, really, where I confronted my.
So you should start your own podcast and teach the generation of today who does not prioritize marriage, relationship, and true commitment. Maybe you can be a voice for that audience, for married young adults, because it's missing. It's missing in the church. It's missing outside the church. It's just missing in the community. Maybe you should be that voice. I'm not against that at all.
Myself quite a bit. And I had to be honest about like where I was and the things that I had been through and how they affected me. And that's really where I started my journey. So you really caught me, everyone caught me really like in the middle of my self-awareness journey. So I wasn't quite there. And so I will admit, like I wasn't completely ready yet, because if I was, I wouldn't have chosen Jared. I wouldn't have said yes. But I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. And neither was he, clearly. But you know, you live and you learn, man.
No, I mean, listen, and that's a real thing, because whenever I talk to people that are on reality TV, like we do a lot of stuff with Own Network, and when I interview the castmates, my thing is to try and get to the bottom of it, right? So like whatever the show is showing us, get to the bottom of it. Because I think the main thing for me was, whenever I was seeing a situation with Jarrett, was why did she make the choice to go with someone who, for us clearly, and maybe say me clearly, it looked like the person knew that Mallory was number one, that he had always wanted that person, and so it made it look like you were the second choice. And then I'm asking, okay, if that's the case, then why does someone want to go through that particular marriage then? And like you just kind of explained, it's the intuition aspect, your.
I'm sorry, y'all, but let's not bully Nikki in the chat, okay? That's not why I said what I said. I said what I said because it really does not make sense. Okay. I just don't like it when women do that. They try to use their marriage as like some trophy or something like that. It's weird. It's very weird. But I will say this. Listen, let's not disrupt the video. Let's not disrupt things in the chat. Okay. Let's not bully Nikki because she thinks that her husband and being married means something in today's society. It does not mean anything nowadays. People in our generation do not respect or cherish marriage in the same way that our parents did, in my opinion. So let's not bully her. I don't know if she was if she was trying to throw shade or not. I'm just going to assume she's not, and we're going to move forward so we can stay on task with this video. It was just very weird and disruptive. Okay, let's continue.
Or your intuition and your decision making, like I said, the trusting of it is not an easy process. So I do appreciate you sharing that as well, because I think it gives a bit more insight into why that choice is actually kind of made as well. You know, what's your thoughts about? Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, I didn't know. You're fine.
Oh,
You're fine.
I don't know, because I thought your brain was tinkering. No, but yeah, no. So I definitely understand that part as well. And I definitely hear that as well. So this situation, obviously now, it's all come out. Girls, any more that needs to come out? Because I love to say, because
no, thank God that's it. Thank God that is it. I like, that's the last thing I got. I'm not going to somewhere. Anything else is like just going to be pure, like my healing process on the podcast. But people don't really listen to my podcast like that, which is what I like. At least Love is Blind fans don't, which is what I also like. I built my own audience alone outside of Love is Blind. And so like they'll be hearing me from now on, just like really talking about the healing process, but because now I can talk about the healing process and how I've gotten through everything, because people have been DMing the heck out of me, like, how the hell are you dealing with all this? And I'm like, I don't know, girl, I'm trying to cope, but let's cope together, because we're all just trying to figure it out, man. But that's it. That's all I got.
We all just trying to figure it out.
That was the last little.
So before Love is Blind, were you actively dating? Were you in a relationship previously before that as well? Anything like that?
No, I hadn't been in a relationship, I think, for 2 years, because I realized I needed to be single. Again, that was during the time where I realized I needed to confront quite a few things about myself. And I just had to be honest. So no, I wasn't in a relationship for at least 2 years before the show. Yeah, because I mean, and I went serious. Like, I was reading marriage books, and I was writing down questions to ask, and even still, that didn't do me no good. But nonetheless, I was trying.
Oh my goodness. Okay, she disappeared. I don't know what happened. I do want to add that you can prepare yourself all day, but at the end of the day, until you have your own experience, that's the only way you can truly trust yourself. So I think that was part of the process. I think it's interesting that she talked about how she read books and she was reading books that would coach her on how to ask certain questions and things like that, yet she still ended up in this situation. That's why I'm always telling you that you may think you have the answer until you're actually going through something, you're going through your own experience, and you have to try to figure things out the best way that you can while going through the experience. And you could have prepared for the experience and still fall short because you still have to figure it out while going through the experience. So it can be a lot. It can be a lot. So that's why I don't hold myself in high regards when I see like other women going through things that I haven't gone through, because I could very well still go through those things and not handle it in the best way. So I leave room for myself to fall short because, again, we're all here trying to figure it out. So I could get married tomorrow and it not be the best marriage, and I could have missed some things, or I could have made some bad choices and decisions. It could happen. I leave room for that. I also leave room for things just not going exactly the way that I planned. I always leave room for that. I can sit here and give commentary all day long, but I know that when I have my own experience, I may not go about it in the way that I should have or that I needed to, because now I can look back and reflect over the experience and say, dang, I wish I would have done this differently. I wish I would have done this differently. So when I give my commentary, it's just that, and I leave grace for those who are still trying to figure life out, because that is life. So let's continue.
Okay. Are we back? Sorry, everyone's calling
Yeah,
me
that's
to
right.
check in.
Don't worry. That's okay.
Just making sure I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, it's good. I understand, man.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, no, I wasn't dating.
So, no, I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
I understand that. I think that's because I think that's always interesting. Like, because Love Is Blind is quite a unique experiment. You know what I mean? Like, Married at First Sight is one thing, but Love Is Blind is quite a unique experiment in its own. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree?
No, I would definitely agree. I would absolutely agree. I would I think Married at First Sight is worse in an extent because you don't actually get a choice. And Love Is Blind, like, you at least have some form of a choice. But yeah, I would say it's definitely unique. But that's why it's such a hit show, because it's so unique. No, it's not Jared calling. Y'all are crazy.
I mean, Jared, if you call it, just let us know, sir. Because
he wouldn't call me. He wouldn't call me. He really.
Oh, you guys not talking like that? You guys not talking level like that anymore?
We were cordial before, but I realized after the divorce that every time we were talking, it was always me initiating. Checking in on him again because I was being protective, checking on him, make sure he was okay. But he wouldn't reach out to me. You know, your girl can be delusional sometimes.
No, I get that. You know, we literally did a panel on Tuesday night about life after divorce. We literally we did a super panel. I had a few other people who have been through divorce and let them give their experiences, because, you know, I've never been married, I've never been divorced, so, you know, but I think us singletons need to, you know, be able to understand where people are coming from when they go through these scenarios. I would love to know your experience. Like, I know obviously you spoke quite a bit in terms of, like, you know, the healing process and the journey and everything like that, but, you know, like, obviously especially for us as people, like, you know, when marriage is such a big thing, you know what I mean? And then divorce is like an even bigger thing, because it's like a lot of people attach it to like almost like a failure in a sense, right? Like whether I failed or in a sense. But how did you see it in terms of you divorcing and you getting to that point?
There were phases. I think at first I saw it as a failure, and then eventually I started to move into, like, this is a learned lesson. And I think it was a lesson that I needed to learn for sure, because without the lessons that I learned in that marriage, I wouldn't be able to trust my intuition. I wouldn't be able to understand what value I truly bring to a relationship. I also understand my flaws. I also wouldn't be able to walk into, like, my true purpose of what I feel I'm supposed to do, which is help people heal, mostly through my experience, which is exhausting. But nonetheless, it is something that I've chosen to do. But yeah, I mean, now I see it as a learned lesson. I was meant to learn those things. I'm, again, a hard-headed learner, and I think God was like, girl, if you don't wake your ass up, So I'm awake now. Your girl's wide awake. But
Listen,
it's definitely a learned lesson.
And I hear you on that. Listen, as somebody who's also a fellow healer
Blue,
in
I'm
that aspect,
screaming.
you know, and maybe and the reason why I probably am so harsh on not just yourself and others like it is because I know what I'm saying. Like, and I told people my story where yours is nice. I mean, I was never married, but I'm saying what I dealt with a girl, what I allowed. You know what I mean? Second best? Mate, I done it all. You know what I mean? Like, and person standing right in front of me and claiming the other person, I'm still like, no, you sure you want to know? You sure you don't want me? But me, you know? So I can definitely say that I definitely, and that's why I'm so harsh. I'm like, I want people to wake up because it's like, yo, it's a harsh lesson because it hurts. Because we're trying to heal people.
It's necessary. It's necessary though. It's so necessary. But that's why I was also very critical of Jared, because I saw where he was and like where he could be. Granted, I took that responsibility on and I shouldn't have done that. But I was very critical of him. I was like, what are you doing, Jared? Like, because no one else was calling him out. And I was like, what? Which was exhausting for me. And I was like, bro, I'm your conscience. I'm your wife. I'm your doormat. What is it?
Is that so?
Sorry,
would you say that's right? You're good, babe. You're good.
I have shade room notifications on because I know they're gonna post about it. And I want to get ahead of it.
I hope you're ready for that. They're going
God, when I tell you the Black community comes after me, they do not play. They do not play.
Don't.
I told you.
I can't lie to you. I don't want to lie to you. I mean, I saw people sent me the thing and said, "Coach, have you seen?" I said, "Oh, guys, you know how I feel about this thing, guys. Come on." And they sent me to me, and I said, "All right, cool. I'm gonna come and do my video. You can see it with my title." I'm like, "Yo, like."
Honestly, I feel like that's probably what drew me in. I was like, oh, okay.
It's a very heavy title.
Because
I really want people to like wake up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to make.
They need to. I think people love to run from their own shit. People also hate to smell their own shit. Forget they have shit.
It's not easy. Yeah. So the potential you saw in Jarrett. I want to know what potential you saw in Jarrett, because we can't see that because the show doesn't show us that. No. I mean, like, the show doesn't show us that. That's what I mean. Sorry, I didn't mean like a shade. Like, we can't see it because of the show. The show doesn't show us that. So I'm not saying that either. I'm saying the show doesn't show us that. So what were you seeing as potential? I didn't mean that shade, Jarrett, just in case. But my shade was up. But
that's what was so crazy about this situation. Wait a minute. That was what was so crazy about this situation was anytime a marriage fails in the Black community, it's always the Black woman's fault. Like, it's insane. The comments that I was reading on, I think it was the Jasmine brand on Instagram. It was insane because I'm just like, the woman said that this man cheated and somehow you are still turning it all on to her is insane. And then because Ayanna is an empath and she's like one of those hyper self-aware people, she's turning it on herself as well. Like, I know I'm not perfect. I know I have things I need to work on. I know there are things that I could have done differently and things like that. But it's like, we will never hear that come from him though, which he was the reason that this marriage really truly did not work out. So I didn't understand that. Like, please don't take this live stream as me putting this all on Ayanna. I do feel like there are some things that she can work on, but I'm just waiting for Jared to come out with his side of things, talking about, you know, I've been quiet for so long and all of this stuff. And it's just like, sir, we saw your issues play out on After the Altar. And you said that you were going to make these changes and things like that. So I'm interested in learning more about his side of things as well. But I just didn't like how when she actually opened up and exposed the real issue in their marriage with the whole cheating thing, how people just automatically started turning on her and making it all just about her. And, oh, it's your fault. You should have known, you know, you were second choice. And it's just like, it doesn't even matter. Like, as a man, he decided to move forward with marriage with her. He decided to do that. He decided to tell his father, like, hey, I want you to wed us. I want you to perform the ceremony. He decided to do all of that. He decided to move in with this woman. He decided to do all of that. Second choice or not, he made that decision as a man. I don't understand why the Black community coddles men. It's sickening. It is so sickening. And so because they're not held accountable, because they are coddled, they will get away with things. And then it's always left up to the woman to fix it or to put up with it. And it's a mess. It's crazy.
You know, what did you see as potential? That's what I want to know.
Jared's actually he's a really kind man. And if someone really does need him, like, he'll go for it, and he'll give his all for that. I mean, clearly not for me, but like for his friends, for his family, like he really is like a very giving person, and he's a little bit too lenient when it comes to, because people will literally stab him, and like he's still like such a forgiving person. He has a really, I think it's an attachment issue kind of thing, but he has a really hard time like letting it go. But I think that also comes from his heart. I mean, at the end of the day, like the bless his heart. He has a good heart. That's why I keep saying he's not a bad guy. Like he's just ridiculously unhealed, and he's been lying to himself for a very long time. And he has people around him who also, they might call him out for a second, but they're also indulging in the same stuff that he is. It is his culture. And it's really disheartening to watch, just watching him like slowly disintegrate. Because I'm like, bro, and he's a very emotional person. He has all these emotions, but he doesn't release. And that's what I really saw. And I was like, bro, let me help you. Like I can help you. I know how to do it. I know I used to be where you are, but again, I shouldn't have taken that on as my responsibility. But
Empaths, I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching. I hope you're watching. I hope you're listening to what she's saying, because when you're an unhealed empath, you think you can save and heal everybody, and you cannot, because part of healing is you deciding that you want to heal. That person has to make that decision to want to heal. You cannot force that onto another person. And I know that's hard for us, because we're like, oh, we just want to help, because we know what it's like. We've been in that situation before. We had to learn how to heal ourselves. But also, being an unhealed empath means that you want to help people who are hurting you, and you would rather put your own feelings and emotions aside to still help them, because you're an empath. And I get it. You're a healer. I get it. But girl, like, I don't know. Like, that's why I be watching animes and things like that. I like to watch the healers on different shows and things like that, because they will deplete their energy just to try to save or heal someone, and then it leaves them drained or just nearly traumatized, almost to death. So that's why I'm like, you have to be careful with that as an empath. You have to learn how to pull back your energy. You have to learn how to trust your intuition. You have to give yourself reassurance, not to seek outside validation, like family, like your mother, and things like that, because it can be detrimental to your mental health. I mean, I'm sure her mental health was going through it. So be careful about that, because I get what she's talking about, because I've definitely done that. I'm like, oh, but I can help them. Oh, I can heal them. Oh, I can do that. And it's just like, no, 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 you cannot. And I'm just waiting for the collective of Black women to wake up and realize that a lot of us are empaths, because we tend to be the mothers when it comes to society. Because all of these people that are on earth, they come from who? Us. They come from us. We are the nurturers here. So we tend to be the most empathic, whether you want to admit it or not. This is why we always, in other people's spaces, we're trying to help the gays, we're trying to help white women, we're trying to help Black men, we're trying to help our children. I mean, we tend to play that role in society. So it's like, you got to learn how to start pouring back into yourself, because you're draining your energy. And then some of you are so numb to it because you're in survival mode. You can't even feel how much your energy is drained, because your adrenaline is in high drive and you're numb to it. So these are things that you have to realize about yourself. It is your power. It is. It is. But you got to choose who to use it on and who not to use it on. You got to choose who to use it on and who not to use it on. You can't waste your energy on everyone. Jared is just, I'm sorry, but he's just not a person I would waste my energy on, because he's fighting it, which means he's fighting himself. And it's not fair for you to waste your energy on someone like that. And we all know who these people are. And it's not just men, it can be family, it could be your own mother, it could be your own father, it could be a sibling, it could be a cousin, it could be your grandmother, right? You want to help them, you want to save them, you want to do this because you're an empath. But listen, sometimes you just cannot waste your energy on people who don't want to help themselves. And it just doesn't get any realer than that. The collective of Black men do not want to help themselves. So I'm just waiting on Black women to come to that conclusion, so that you can start pouring into yourself, so that you can start focusing on yourself. And then if they decide to turn within and work on their issues, then that's a decision that they made in their own time. but you can't force them to change themselves. Like, you cannot force Black men to change. They will have to make that decision for themselves. You're wasting your time. Your life is passing you by, and there are just other things that you could focus on outside of Black men and what they're doing. It just does not get any realer than that. I'm just waiting on my audience to catch up with where I'm at mentally, and it's to leave them behind, because at the end of the day, you can't save them. They have to want it. You can't want it more than them, and it just doesn't get any realer than that.
But I mean, that's what I saw him for the unhealed, broken person that he is, and I wanted to like just help mend some things. Why do we do that? Why do we do that?
You want the truth or do you want the truth? You know,
no, Dad, why do we do that?
I mean, listen, it's the same energy we call Build a Bear Boo around here, okay? And Build a Bear Boo is partly, listen, first and foremost, you can see yourself in him, right? So that's first, honestly, that's the truest thing, you can see yourself in him, right? And number two, you actually have the tools which you have helped yourself with. You can see yourself helping the person get to that other side, right? So it's a genuine interest. You genuinely want to help them. The other side, baby, let me take my glass off for this part. The other side, which people don't like to talk about, is that it's also wedged in ego.
Black men are the problem when we speak on Black femicide. Please look into Black femicide and then come back and say Black men are not the problem. Please. And they're fighting demons, literally. And then we're their punching bag. It's really that simple. Guess Jared was fighting demons. Let's use Jared right now for an example. Jared was fighting demons. And who was his punching bag? Ayanna was his punching bag, right? So when we think of Black femicide and we think about how there are Black women that are being unalived every 4.5 hours, who do you think is being that emotional, physical, and abusive punching bag for Black men to take all of their frustrations out on? Black women. Got it. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So if Black men were not the problem, Black femicide rates would not be what they are. They would not be what they are. So again, you cannot save them. It's just that simple. A baby is not going to change him. It's just that simple. If he does not want to deal with his demons, he doesn't want to deal with his emotional issues, his trauma, and things like that, there's nothing that you can do for someone like that but leave them alone and walk away. But no, we're trying to stick beside them and help them out. And guess who turns on us and we become their emotional punching bag, physical punching bag, mental punching bag. We become it all and we bear it all. And then we carry that burden with us. That's not fair. So let's continue.
I know it's painful to say. It's Western ego.
It feels nice to be needed. It feels nice to like know you have the tools that someone else doesn't have. It's like, no, but I can help you. I can help you.
There we go.
God. Why do we do that? I mean, I know why we do
that. Well,
like,
because we need to be valued. You know what I mean? And it comes from our childhood. Our childhood of we want to be two things. We want to be seen and we want to be heard, right? And when those two things are not being done to us, we find our ways to be seen and to be heard. I think we were literally talking about this yesterday about having daddy issues, and I was talking about my own even. But the need to be seen and to be heard presents itself in different ways. Some of us have a healing spirit, and we realize when we start to put ourselves in a position where we begin to heal people, we're suddenly seen and heard. So we then interpret that into relationships, and then we're trying to be seen and heard in a relationship by healing people, right? And so that we end up choosing partners who will be broken and who are quote unquote a project.
Yes.
And you know, and then we try to fix them up. Because what will happen is if they get to the other side, then they will end up loving us the way that we want to be loved, which is they'll appreciate us, they'll see us, they'll need us, and everything like that. The reality is when you create Frankenstein always kills the creator.
Come on, truth. Come on, truth. That was beautiful. But that was all facts.
I'm talking to myself.
That was literally all facts. I do like to be seen. I do like to be heard, and I do like to be valued. Why can't I just now I'm learning to like channel those things in healthier ways into getting those needs met, because I don't know what the fuck that was. It was a blip. It's okay though.
We've all been there. Look, you know, I tell my audience about my situations and the reason why I stayed in those relationships. I've literally ignored red flags because I felt like, and I can give an example. I ignored a red flag where a girl said to me, "Look, I like to check through phones," and I was like, "Well, I've got nothing to hide, so I don't mind." But I ignored that red flag because I was like, "Well, my goodness should be able to, you know, supersede your insecurity." Right? My goodness should be able to save your insecurity. So don't worry, I'm going to be as open and as thingy as whatever. But the person that has that insecurity and they're going to keep on looking for something to find a flaw in. Do you know what I mean? So eventually, no matter how squeaky clean you are, they're going to find a speck of dirt. And when they find a speck of dirt, it's like, aha, I gotcha. And then when it gets you like that, that's how the toxic cycle begins to start. So a lot of times, even myself, it's wedged in my own ego, it's most of my own superiority, in my, I don't want to say goodness, I want to say niceness, because we differentiate between good and nice on this channel. Niceness is not goodness. Niceness ends up in manipulation, because you're trying to use, me being nice, quote unquote, as a way to retrieve something. Whereas goodness is about, that's my quality intrinsically. I just do these things because I want to do them. I'm not doing it to get something back.
I usually say good and kind, but I say nice and kind, but I like nice and good better. But yeah. I will say that was another flaw that I had in our marriage. I got to a point to where he wasn't communicating with, I mean, it didn't get to the point, it was from the beginning, where he wasn't communicating with me at all. And the only way that and this is when I knew I should have left, but it became this pattern where the only way that I would be able to get the truth or like seek out truth is by going through his phone. And I felt disgusting doing that, because it's an invasion of privacy. And if you feel like you have to go through your partner's phone, like, why are you with them? Why are you with them? But it became this cycle of like, something's happening. He's not telling me what's happening. I'm asking, I'm trying to give him a soft place to land. He's not communicating with me. And then I would like go through his phone and I would always find something, because if you're looking, you're going to find something. But granted, he was actually doing stuff. But even still, nonetheless, it became this bad pattern, this terrible pattern. And that's when I realized I gotta go. I can't keep doing this. This isn't normal. This is toxic. This is really toxic. But yeah, that's another thing I regret. I wish I hadn't let it get to that point. I wish I was able to walk away before then. Because that's not me. That's really not me. I don't like going to people's phones. I don't want to feel like I have to go through your phone, you know? I mean, that's just toxic as fuck.
It is, but I guess in the moment, what you're kind of thinking in the moment is, you just want to know the truth. And I always tell this to people as well. Like, one thing about, and even since we're talking about cheating as well, because it's come up as before, one thing about cheating that I learned is that if someone cheats, it's better to tell the truth than to lie the whole way through. And I said, like, look, cheating is one thing, right? But cheating that kind of lies is soul destroying, because it actually destroys the reality of the other person that you're living with. I can never trust anything you ever say to me. Now, when I'm looking in your eye and you're telling me something, I have to try to figure out whether you're telling me the truth or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas if you came to me and said, listen, hey, I got caught, my bad. I did cheat. I did this. I did this. I did this. I did this. You can at least go, well, I know that once they got caught, they do tell the truth. If you don't tell me the truth, I now have to consider everything you do as being an action of, are they acting? Are they pretending? You know, like it's literally, it will create PTSD for you in other future relationships. It is soul destroying. Someone lies and cheats.
It really is. It really is. It really is. But that's why I also learned now, like, to never move that fast. I relinquished trust when there wasn't even a proper foundation for trust to be built. So, I mean, was it true trust to begin with? But it did create, it was bad. But I really did try to work through it. I don't think it helped though that he was very impatient with me, and he would tell me, well, you're holding a grudge. I was like, I promise you I'm not. Like, I'm trying my best to like really like get through this and get over it, when I shouldn't have used those phrases of like getting over it, because it's not something you just get over, man. It's not something you get, you grow through. You have to grow through. And I think at the end of the day, he wasn't willing to grow, and that was where I was like, I can't, because you're not even like willing to confront yourself. Like, again, I'm your conscience, and that's exhausting for me. And yeah.
Did you have many conversations after you found out he obviously he cheated? Did you have many conversations after as well? Like, and how do those conversations go? Because I know that it takes between 6 to 24 months apparently to heal a heart that's been broken from cheating.
That's sure. So one thing about me is I won't say I'm very confrontational, but like I do speak my mind quite a bit, and I can be very direct, and that made Jared very, very uncomfortable because he's very avoidant. And so when I would feel this
not avoidant too,
like panic, I would talk to him about it, like, hey, I'm feeling wildly uncomfortable right now. And just like on the show, I would ask, like, I just need like a little reassurance, like, is everything okay? Like, is there anything you want to talk about? Like, how do you think is there anything that I'm doing? Like, and so but anyways, we would have those conversations. We'd have them quite often, and he would get so tired of the conversation. He's like, I feel like I'm having to defend myself every time. I feel like I'm having to, and I'm like, that's not my intention. It's not like you versus me. It's like us versus the problem. And he just didn't see it that way. Every time I brought it up, it felt like an attack on him. And again, I understand where he is, because I used to be just like that. And I'm like, I try my best to just like try to be patient and try to be calm and just like, but he would just shut down. And now when I tell you shut down, I mean full blown Stonewall. He just sit there and just be like blank on his face. And I'd be I'm like, are you registering? Like, am I explaining well enough? And then it put me in this side, because I'm already a rambler, clearly. And then so I just like keep rambling, and like he nothing. Literally nothing. And that used to scare me, because I've never seen that before. But like nothing. And then I realized, because when I saw interactions with him and his parents, it made sense. It made so much sense, because that's exactly what he's like with his parents. As soon as his parents start to like offer any form of advice, nothing. And I realized, like, this is a trauma response. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. Like, this is his own personal journey. There's literally nothing I can do about it other than like try my best to continue to be supportive and like give him a soft place to land when he does want to eventually land. But yeah, the conversations just weren't very productive. But we were in therapy for a long time.
Okay.
And I was hoping it was helping, but in reality, it was really just helping me. Like I realized there were things about me that I needed to
Yes, be ready to it.
and that's yeah. Oh,
that's tense because that's a lot because what you're describing there for me sounds like somebody who is, well, I talk to the audience a lot about emotional regulation in 3 components. We have process, understand, and express. And when people can't express, they usually express it in the form of behavior, which oftentimes becomes violent or aggressive.
Yes.
And if someone can't process, which is what Jarrett you're talking about now, they shut down. When you can't process, it's almost like a computer. When a computer has too much to process, it shuts down. And if someone's like can't understand, there's a lot of confusion in the mind. So when someone's struggling to process all that information, like you were just describing, having a conversation about what was happening, and when they're shutting down, is because there's too much things, is over processing information. And that becomes very difficult for a party like yourself, who's another scene, because if I'm trying to explain to you about what you did, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to tell you how you hurt me, but you can't handle it. And you now shut down. We're actually not progressing in the relationship, and we're actually not healing the heart that I have. So I can continue going on, but this heart is going to be scabbed over. It's not really going to be healed, which means that it's only going to take another situation, and my heart's going to tear open even worse than beforehand, which means that's probably going to be a bigger issue down the line, which is actually because of the original wound wasn't fully healed. So I definitely understand where you're coming from in that aspect of the cheating situation. That's real.
Literally, yeah. It really does. It makes me sad. It really does make me sad because I really did want that marriage to work. I mean, clearly, I really did want that marriage to work. And I wanted so much for him, and I still do. I still want so much for him. And I want him to be able to get to the other side of just like at least like some self-awareness and just starting his journey. But like what can I do? What can I do? You know, I can't even be a support for him anymore, and that makes me sad too. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was at my detriment, and I was carrying a lot of weight, but. Not anymore. Now I'm carrying my own damn weight, and that's heavy enough.
So you guys were in therapy. What was lifted for you then? What did you feel like was helping you and speaking to you then?
It was really just learning how to be a partner of integrity, and like despite whatever Jarrett was doing, like granted I was having very human reactions, but despite whatever Jarrett was doing, I wanted to be able to hold myself accountable. Like doing things like going through his phone is just not okay. Like at the end of the day, I have a choice. It's like either you're going to stay in this relationship, and if you want to say you want to trust him and move forward, then you have to trust him and move forward. And so I was holding myself accountable quite a bit. And my therapist was doing such a good job at confronting me, because even in my therapy session, she jokes that like I therapize myself, and most of the time all she has to do is just ask questions, and it triggers like multiple thoughts, and I'm like, oh my god, what? And then like I question myself. I'm doing it all the time. So like I therapize myself, and so I realized in therapy like the questions that I needed to be asking myself, and the thought process that I needed to have. Also, I had such a in the marriage, I gained such a negative mindset and just negative perspective. Like I would speak to myself negatively, and I just have such a negative outlook on life and on everything really. But I mean, how could that not happen when that form of like betrayal is happening? And then also neglect, because emotionally and mentally I was being very neglected. But it's because we were two very different people. But also because he hasn't started his healing journey. He would tell me things like, well, of course, that like I talk too deep all the time, and I'm like, well, what is all the time for you? He's like, once a day. He's like, that's too much. Once a day is way too.
I try to tell you guys, ladies, being that nice girl, listen, when you were younger, it served a purpose. It kept you out of trouble. But being the nice, good girl in your adulthood can be very harmful to you. You're like the white bunny in the wild. You're being preyed on and you don't even realize it because you're naive and you're gullible. So being nice, like I said, it served, being a good girl, being a nice girl, it served purpose when you were younger. But when you get older, you have to be hip to game. You do. You have to be hip to game. And watching YouTube videos online is not suffice. I'm sorry. You need to go outside and get your own experiences. I cannot stress that enough. Listening to me, listening to these other content creators, it's actually harmful to you as well. You have to go out into the world and you have to get your own experiences. You cannot go off of what everybody else is saying. And I'm saying that while also giving commentary. Like you have to go outside. I just cannot stress that enough. I can't. I just cannot. You have to go outside. You have to stop self-isolating. She talked about how she kind of self-isolated. She doesn't do clubs. So that tells me that she's not really outside learning people. Because you have to go outside and learn people, learn the real world, learn it for yourself and not what everyone else is telling you, because that could be misleading as well, especially when it comes to your own experiences, to the point where you can have understanding. You have to go outside and get it yourself. So the world is not nice. So prepare yourself mentally, but you still need to go outside though. Like, I'm sorry, you need to be outside. You need to learn people. It's not even about you going outside, getting pregnant, getting with a dusty. You just need to be out here learning people, because if you don't learn people, people can easily take advantage of you. They can easily walk all over you and put the blindfolds on, and you just miss all the in-between things, the cues, the social cues, simply because you lack the experience. So you have to go outside. I'm sorry, you just do.
That's not enough.
Oh, okay. And that's where we just were so disconnected. Our connection crumbled pretty quickly after our marriage, because like, it's just like the mental and emotional aspect weren't there like it was like in the pods. God, which was so hard for us to stay married. I can't believe we lasted that long, if I'm honest. But he refused to give up on that marriage, which confuses me because his actions said otherwise, which is why I also said, I'm like, well, clearly you want to be in it if you're still here. But then I saw the statistics of like most of the time it's women initiating the divorces and men are fine with just like being okay. What's that about? Yeah,
I'm glad she brought that up.
I mean, the stark reality is we're happily pop along because we can cheat and nothing happens to us socially. There's no consequences for us. So technically, we could actually pop along a relationship, which is what's happened here. As much as Jared has cheated and the divorce is broken, who's going to kill him? Nobody. But if you had cheated, you would have been on about 4 or 5 of my videos. So,
sweetie, I'm sorry, but you have to go outside. I'm sorry. Okay, this is why I don't have kids right now, because I know one day I will have to send them out into this world, and I know that I will not be able to be with them every step of the way. Okay, so I get it, but you have to go. I'm sorry, you have to go. You have to go outside. You have to go outside. You got to deal with these people. And really, you're afraid because of what everyone else is telling you, but you're not going off of your own experiences. Like, you have to go outside. You have to deal with people. I'm sorry. It's the world that we live in. Now, nobody's saying that you have to get pregnant or anything, but you just need to go outside and learn people so that you will become more comfortable with knowing how people are. That's really what it's about. That's it. And stay safe while doing it. But you have to go. I'm sorry. You just do.
you know what I mean?
They would have crucified me.
So that's the reality why it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I get that. Yeah. No, I definitely get it. And I do identify what you're saying there about, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well. That depth, that is like one of the, so that situation where also I got cheated on was the same conversation was had about that as well in terms of the depth. I'm a person that likes deep conversations. I need depth. I can't stay on the shallow surface. It's frustrating for me to stay there. So I need that all day, every day. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay. Yeah. So
same.
You know what I mean? So just don't, so I know the frustration, and it became such a struggle when the person kept on telling me about why you always gotta be so deep that I start questioning myself, like, yo, maybe I need to like come up for air or something, because clearly, you know what I mean? I don't know if that,
it does make you second guess yourself. That's for sure. And that's why, and a lot of times I realized in retrospect, when Jared was calling me hypercritical and judgmental, what I was really is just analyzing behavior most of the time and like trying to like talk about that. And to him, again, it felt like an attack. So like,
oh my goodness.
I mean, of course he's not going to like it. Of course he's not going to want to talk. But naturally he just doesn't do that. And if he does, like, I'm not going to lie, a lot of times it is bullshit. If you listen to his podcast, bullshit. A lot of it is bullshit.
Okay, that's good.
And that's really unfortunate, because I'm like, bro, just be honest. But he can't be honest with himself, which makes it difficult for him to be honest with other people. Which is so unfortunate to watch. Oh, I just wanted to like do it for him. Like, let me just help.
I get it. No, I get that. That's interesting that you brought that up. Actually, the depth situation is a very real thing.
Yeah, it's a very real thing. I feel like, and that's what I really meant about incompatibility. That's what I was really talking about, that we were just on such different levels and interests. Because I wanted to, I like to talk about stuff. I have a whole podcast dedicated to it. Like, I talk about these things naturally. Like, I want to do it. I talk in all of my relationships. Like, this is just what we do. It's how we connect. Just analyzing our own behavior and talking about just human, like, come on, like, it's life. How could you not talk about this stuff? But and then how could you not grow, like, or want to grow? Like, why would you want to be stagnant? And like, you know, I mean, yes, it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, like, don't you want to look a year from now and be like, wow, like, look how far I've come. I mean, granted, I might have taken 10 steps back a couple of times. Nevertheless, like, there is movement.
Remember the video that I just did the other day? I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? Where Leon came on and he said that he hated how nice empaths were. Like, he basically said that it was just so annoying to be around a good person because he wasn't a good person. I know you guys have seen this video. So I see why he doesn't like her. Like, let me show you. Let me show you, because this was crazy. Because I was like, well, this makes sense. Because you would think, oh, like, she's such a nice person. Like, anybody would be lucky to have her. But let me show you what I'm talking about. Because Leon brought this to my attention, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. This explains why we sometimes feel like the Black male collective hates us. Think about it.
That I will regret for the rest of my life is discarding empaths. Discarding any woman that I've ever had, but discarding the empaths that were always taking care of me. Empaths come with intuition. They come with character. They come with morals. They come with integrity. They come with energy. They come with motivation. They come with a lot of positivity. And I wasn't ready for that. You know, empaths think that, well, Leon, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you, but I had to make her think there was something wrong with her because it was everything wrong with me. I didn't want her to know that, you know? And so I had to be honest, and I couldn't be honest. I couldn't be sincere. I couldn't do any of that. And so empaths, when you start to be with a Leon, you start to feel drained, you start to feel tired, you start to worry about me. You can see me going down this dark path, knowing that I'm going to do something wrong, knowing I'm going to hurt myself, harm myself, or hurt or harm somebody else. And you would give me that idea. You would say, hey, Leon, you know, I think you should do this, do that. And I was like, I didn't want to listen to her because I'm like, I don't want her to know that I didn't know, you know, that I didn't know what I was doing in a relationship. I just couldn't handle empaths. It was too good, too pure, too wholesome, too healthy for me. And so when she was on to me, I would deny everything. I couldn't tell the truth. You know, I couldn't admit to being wrong. I would lie. And so what I learned in therapy is that's called escapism. I was always running away from the truth, getting away, running away. I was like, you know, I wanted her to be close to me, like, come here, take care of me, be close to me, but don't stay too long. Don't get too close to me, because I didn't want to get too close to a woman. I was afraid of that. Here I am, this manly dude, you know, just masculine dude, but I did not know what to do with an empath or a good, wholesome woman. I was always running, you know, and so empaths they have that heart, they have that soul, they have that spirit. And I just couldn't deal with it because I didn't have that heart. I didn't have that soul. I didn't have that spirit. And so there was a disconnect. She was doing everything right. I was doing everything wrong. Narcissistic people, I call them front runners. They do everything up front, fast, quick, with a lot of intensity, with a lot of energy. And so it's only a matter of time before they burn out, you know? And so it was only a matter of time before I burned out. And then when I burned out, she was like, Leon, you're not the same guy that I met 2-3 months ago. What's going on? And I'm like, now I'm getting offended because she's on to me. She knows who I am. And in my mind, it's like, okay, dude, you got to get out of this. Instead of me sitting there and listening to her, allowing her to teach me and bring me back to good health and make me see things differently, I would get offended because I never wanted to be wrong. So I should have just sat there. If I would have sat there and listened, I would still be married. I would probably still be married to my first girlfriend years ago. But I was too hard-headed. I was too stubborn. You know, I would see her in the club after we broke up with another guy. And I'd be like, damn, yeah. He's getting it good. He's being taken care of. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I got a little jealous. And when the empath was in my life and then she would leave, it was like, I could just like feel my soul being snatched. And that didn't feel good at all. I didn't like it. I couldn't handle it. You know, so if you got a good person, you know, men are empaths too. If you got it, ladies, if you got a good man, keep it.
Men are
if you have a
empaths
good
too,
woman,
ladies.
keep her, you know. You got the best person right there in your life to make sure you got everything, to make sure you're on point, to make sure you're healthy, to make sure you're aware. They have wherewithal. So stay with the good people you have in your life. Pass.
So to be fair, men are empaths too. Toxic people, I really feel like they don't like people who are not really as toxic as them. But men can be empaths too. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I don't think, I'm not going to say Jared is a narcissist because I'm not a therapist, but he's definitely toxic. We can agree on that. But I think it's interesting. I think that's why a lot of you guys are like, how could he not want someone like that? He's toxic, you know, and I think how she is in nature, like who she is as a person, I think it like triggers him or makes him uncomfortable because it really highlights things that he needs to work on within himself. And I think that's what made him not like her. It's like, oh, like you remind me of, like you highlight, you expose what I need to work on within myself because you're such this good person. Oh, I can't stand you. Like I don't want to like you. You know, I think that's why you get around certain people, toxic people, and you're like, damn, I've been nothing but nice to them. Why do they hate me? Why do they not like me? And it's because you show, like you create this mirror for them. Like you are a mirror for them. And it really bothers them because it's like, damn, this is who I should be. This is who I'm supposed to be. This is who I need to be. But because I don't want to face myself and you're playing that mirror for me to look at myself, I can't stand you. Like, I hate you. I don't want to see that. And so sometimes when you're an empath or just a non-toxic person, you can be that mirror for them that you constantly carry around with yourself, where you show them who they are and how toxic they are, and they just don't like that. So they hate you for that. They just don't like you for that.
It's very fluent here. I just didn't understand that. I really didn't get that. And I've never dated anyone like that before, which is why, again, I say like Jared was an anomaly. If it weren't for the experiment in real life, if Jared had actually approached me, I'd be like, oh no, I'm not interested, because I'd be able to quickly see like, oh, okay. But again, because of the experiment, I was just like, it was making decisions too quickly. I wasn't confronting things about myself, and like the environment was just like, it was like a whirlwind. It was an anomaly. Like, it's not real. I mean, it is real. Clearly it's real, but like,
No, I get you, you know, and I think the pods is such an interesting phenomenon because I think from my perspective, this is me talking from my perspective and just kind of watching yourself and Jared. What I saw was oftentimes as men, right, we haven't had the opportunity. No, let me not say I've not had the opportunity. Let me rephrase that, because I'll be wrong with phraseology. Oftentimes with men, I was talking about this, yes, all the conversations seem to come up today. So yesterday we had a conversation and saying about the reality is a lot of men don't need wives at the point in life they are. They need a friend.
Oh.
But we get confused.
Oh.
Ooh.
That's good. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. That's true.
I was like, wait, hold on.
Sorry, no,
but yeah,
good.
a lot of men don't need wives. They need a good friend. And what happens is, for us as men, when we operate with other men, we tend not to go on the emotional plane. We tend to do that with women, right? So what happens is sometimes we can get talking, and I saw this with Mallory, and he did something very interesting. He split who he was for Mallory and for you. What he saw was, okay, I'm going to be really open emotional about my scars with Ayanna, but when I go to Mallory, I'm going to give her I'm good, I'm ready to go, like me and you can do this, right? But the reality was, as men, oftentimes what we're doing is we're getting free therapy, right? We're getting free therapy from a woman. We've used you as the therapist because that is a safe place, because we know, one, you care about us. And two, you're not a random person at this point in time. You're somebody who cares about me. And this is also a thing that goes a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. There's also a power dynamic that comes into this play as well. Because with a therapist, the person can call you all the way out. When someone's a partner, they can't call you all the way out because they love you or they care about you. So then you have that form of protection that puts itself in front. So that's why a lot of times men will say, I don't do therapy. But yet it took 4 or 5 hours to a girl that they supposedly like, and they will tell her everything that's ever gone in their life.
Just trauma dumping.
Trauma dumping on them, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of that safety aspect. So, you know, what I saw with Jared, and I saw with when we were talking to you and talking to Mary, he split himself into two. And, you know, when men tend to do that when we haven't healed and we haven't taken the time to, and we're scared to be vulnerable, you know, and be truthful about how we're actually feeling. So yeah, that was what I was seeing with Jared. And that's your ability to heal is also the very thing that attracts somebody who's not healed, because they're looking for somewhere to release those things. So sometimes they don't need a wife. And then we have to be honest as men. We don't need a wife. We need a friend.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. Those facts. Those literally facts. Okay. Well, any other questions?
No, I'm trying to think of what's coming to my mind. I don't know if the audience have any questions. I'm sure they probably do. To be honest, they have a fun. Listen, audience, if you've got some questions, shout me some of those questions that you got. Hit me with something, and I will ask Ayanna. It's Ayanna, right? Because I'll be killing everybody's name.
Yes. No,
okay,
you're
cool. I'll be killing everybody's name. I'll be pronouncing it differently, so you need to know. So, audience, if you've got any questions, this is the best time to ask it. It's impromptu, but you know, keep it respectful. But yes, please do ask the question, so you know I can ask our dear fellow colleague here. You know,
this was a great interview. This was a great interview. he did a really good job because some people don't know how to interview other people. I'm just being honest, but this was a great interview. We actually got pretty much all of our questions answered for the most part. Did anyone want to join this live? I put a link on my Patreon in the news feed. If you want to click the link, it is on Patreon. You can get access that way if you want to come up here and add your 2 cents to it. But this was actually a really good interview. He did a really good job. So let's continue to see if they add anything else. But I'll wait for, I guess, like a minute or so to see if any of you wanted to add to the live stream. But the link is on Patreon and it's posted and it will be at the very top.
Some questions
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so obviously now since obviously this. Okay, someone said, "What did the parents think?" I already asked that question about what the parents. Oh, what do parents think about his behavior? Ooh.
Oh, I mean, clearly they weren't happy. So when you saw my mom talking to him, on after the altar and she was crying, my mom doesn't really cry, but when she was talking to him and after the altar, they knew everything at that point. Because I was very open with my parents because I realized I needed support, and my parents have been married for who knows how long, and they have also gone through some things. And so I was like, I need help. Am I doing things wrong? Like, what am I doing wrong?
Told you.
And so I reached out to my mom, and I called her. I remember 3 days before it was filming, and that's when I found out, and I called her crying, and that's why she was crying, because she was reliving it in the moment of me like calling her crying and telling her about him cheating. And so yeah, they weren't happy, of course, and you saw my dad with his stern face, but again, my they wanted to be a support, and my dad was like, look, I get it. Like you're having a hard. My dad also had a hard time letting go of his single behavior when they first got married. And so my dad understood. And he's like, look, I can help you. Like, let me be a support for you. Like, just reach out to me whenever you need me. If you need advice, like if you need accountability, I got you. So my parents weren't pleased. Clearly, they weren't pleased, and they don't like seeing me hurt. They don't like seeing me get run through the mud. But nonetheless, they still wanted to support because they're great people. I love my parents. They're pretty dope.
I love that.
Yeah,
thank you. I love that. Question again, does the show provide therapy for the couples post-marriage?
They'll pay for therapy if you want it, and so they actually paid for a couple of our first sessions. So yeah, they don't provide it, but if you need it, they'll pay for it.
Fair enough. Are you dating?
I am dating. I am dating. I know people will say, oh, you're not ready. But I know I can give 100% to someone else. Yes, I'm still coping. I'm still healing. However, I'm at the point now where I can put my all into a relationship while doing both simultaneously. The hard part is continuously checking myself and making sure, like, Ayanna, keep yourself in check, making sure I'm not reacting in a way that's toxic or that's some trauma from the relationship. And I don't think I'll completely process this marriage or divorce probably until like the end of this year. So much has happened, and I keep having new revelations, and I think they'll continue to happen. But one thing I will say is I always lead with kindness, and I always lead with just making sure I'm being protective, not just myself, but of the people who are affected by my behavior and my actions. So I got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready now. So yeah, I have been dating. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, but I am dating. So
I rate it. The actual following question from that was, what is it you're looking for in your next relationship?
Oh my God. Emotional intelligence, self-awareness, because somebody can have one and not the other. And I didn't know that until I just met someone recently who had one and not the other. So both of those things, someone who does like to speak about these things, who has similar interests, just overall real compatibility, but more importantly, someone with good character. I mean, at the end of the day, like I just want someone who has good, kind, empathetic, understanding, flexible, just like very adaptable, just good character.
I'm with you on this.
Yeah.
Tony Owen said, I would like to ask her if she felt from the beginning that there was a foreshadowing of the marriage not working out. We saw flags in the beginning on our end. Did you see them as well?
Great question.
I saw some of them. I didn't see all of them again because I didn't see everything that you guys saw. But I saw a few things. But at the time, they were just yellow flags to me. The funny part is I've watched my season when it first came out, and I saw it through different eyes. And I recently just rewatched it, which is crazy because it looked like I was literally just walking off the edge of a cliff. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? It's really strange watching everything in retrospect. But yeah, I saw some yellow flags. To me, they were yellow flags at the time. But I do wish I had seen everything that you guys had seen.
Dang.
Okay, I'm with you on that. A couple more questions, actually. Just a few more. Okay, so I've missed it out. Since you say Jarrett is not your usual type, what is it? What do you
It's usually an intellectual type. I don't really have a physical type. All of my literally all of my boyfriends look very, very different. And it's funny because my friends met him. That's also what they didn't show on camera. My friends did get to meet him. When they met him, they were like, that's not what you usually go for. Like, I don't usually go for like the super into sports guy. Like, I do like guys who like listen to podcasts and like read books and like, I don't know, randomly, like have plants or some shit. I don't know. But like, it's just, I like an intellectual type. And Jared wasn't that typical type. But again, because of the experiment, I thought, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I have a question. Someone's actually asked it. If you could plug your podcast as well, so that people know where to find you and what to how to get behind you and support.
Yeah. It's called Fill in the Blank, tactile feel, like touch feel in the blank.
Okay.
Yeah,
like feel. Okay.
Yeah, like feel. Yeah. Yeah, you can find on YouTube, on really on everything. Yeah.
I've put it in the chat. Fill in the Blank podcast. Yeah, as well. I have a question. How are you feeling right now? Obviously, after we had a conversation, how are you feeling at this point? You know, after you eating your Chick-fil-A as well, how are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel good. I woke up this morning with an extreme amount of anxiety. I went to sleep with an extreme amount of anxiety because, again, like I understood that this was gonna feel raw to an extent, but I always forget just how intense it can be. Just knowing that people are saying things about you, knowing people are talking about you. So I woke up with anxiety. I feel a lot better now, though. I feel a lot better now. I feel good.
Is it tough? Like, because I know, like you said, you had the notifications on for Shade Room. Is it tough being in that position where you're almost waiting for the next headline, kind of thing to hit?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's why I made sure that this episode came out after my birthday. I was like, I just want to enjoy my birthday in peace. I went to a cabin by myself and I just I unplugged for a few days and just like got lost in my thoughts and in nature. But yeah, it's a lot. Again, I think it's so abnormal for people to live like this, but in this modern world, like it is, it's strangely enough, it's a career path and it's what some of us choose to do, but it is a heavy burden to carry a lot of the time. But again, I signed up for it, so I can't complain too much.
I hear you. Listen, there's a ton of questions. There's too many to do today, and I think maybe that we can reserve that for another time. I want to respect your time as well. But listen, I do appreciate you coming through. Someone asked me, do I regret the title that I put up there? No, I don't. I wouldn't do it if I didn't mean what I said at the time. So no, generally I do care, but I like to say we don't care because in the sense of the fact that we knew that the situation. I predicted it, and I don't.
Everyone knew. Everyone predicted it. It's like even me watching the show, it's like, well, duh. So I get it. I don't think anyone should care. I wasn't really doing it for everybody.
He said his title reads "Love is Blind." We don't care. Jared was cheating on Ayanna because she shouldn't have chose him. She shouldn't have chosen him. Ooh, You know what I like about Ayanna though? Like, she is a truth seeker. Like, at the end of the day, like, she'll take the heat as long as it's truth, and I respect that. Even if it's hard to deal with, I think we can learn that from her, because a lot of people wouldn't even click on a video that's titled like this, if they went through something as such as she did. So I admire that about her, because girl,
else. I was doing it for my fill in the blank audience. And I just got tired of lying. So that's just what it is.
So wait, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do if he comes out and just like denies it? Let's say he comes out and denies it.
He can't deny it. There's no way he can't deny. What he can do is he'll probably I know exactly what situation he's probably gonna bring up. And it makes me sad that he's gonna do that. But I get it. He feels like he has to defend himself. And that's okay. That's okay, but he's not going to deny it. He's going to just try to tell his part of it, and he'll deflect. That's exactly what it is. He'll deflect. And again, like, I get it.
Girl, what are you not telling us? I want to know from you before he goes and
he
tells
us the situation against me, because it's just.
What situation? I don't know. What situation are you talking about, baby?
Oh my God.
What situation is he going to use against you, baby?
When we first got married, I went out with some women I had just met, but I felt, and see, once again, I relinquished trust way too quickly, but I felt like I thought every woman lived by like girl code. Like, if you come together, you leave together. If you go to the bathroom, you make sure that they're safe. But these women didn't live by that exact code, and we were all drinking. And I sometimes, and this is why I don't drink. This is why I don't like to drink often, because I know sometimes I have a hard time like understanding, like, okay, now is when you stop. And I learned this in college. It was bad. I used to black out all the time, I thought it was normal because I used to do it so often. People were like, I know that's not normal. And I'm like, what? And that's when I just learned to stop drinking. But we were out, and I was really just keeping up with everybody else. Everybody else was like, oh, I'm going to go to drink. I'm like, yeah, give me one too. And I blacked out. And within an hour, I was at a random bar with some random guy, and I came to. And I remember yelling at this man, "No, I'm married." But I remember him just following me around a lot. And at around like 2:30 in the morning, Jared gets off of work, and he's like, "Ayanna, I'm coming to pick you up." And I made sure I actually looked at these text messages yesterday because I was downward spiraling. And he's like, "Ayanna, I'm coming to get you." And I was like, okay. But I remember trying to send him my location, but I ended up sending him his contact information. And that's just like how drunk I was. But when he came to get me, this guy had the nerve to say like, "Oh no, bro, she's good." And I'm surprised Jared didn't punch him in the face then. But Jared was like, "All right, we gotta go." And at this point, I'm belligerently drunk, like belligerently drunk. And I remember saying, "Oh, wasn't it nice that that guy was checking on me?" And Jared looked at me like, "I don't know, shut the fuck up." And then I was like, "Oh, I need to check on the girls." And then he got even more upset with me. He was like, "Why are you checking on these women who aren't checking on you?" And then I blacked out again. But the next morning I woke up and the shower curtain was broken because apparently I had fallen into the tub. Like, it was just
Oh
a
my
hot ass
goodness,
mess.
girl.
And Jared was like, "Ayanna, you don't know what was happening with you and this guy." And I was like, "No, nothing happened. Like, I know nothing happened." Because I remember pushing him off saying, "No, I'm married. And I remember telling him like, "I'm also concerned about my behavior too. I never want to repeat." And I never repeated it again. But I was like, "I never want to repeat that again." But I realized.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. Was this irresponsible? Of course it was. It was. But this girl is in a toxic relationship. So she's finding ways to cope with that. And I think we need to be real about that. I'm sorry. Like, I think we need to be real about that. She went out with her friends. She got intoxicated, probably trying to numb herself. I've done it. Like, I'm not about to sit up here and be like, "Girl, why would you do that?" Girl, I've done it. Now, have I passed out and blacked out? No, I haven't done that. But I haven't been married either. So I don't know. Like, I've never done reality TV. I've never been married. I've never been in a relationship with a man that has, well, I'll take that back. The avoidant thing, I know how that can be. Like, that when you're the type of person that wants to talk about everything and be open and direct about everything, and you're in a relationship or a marriage with a man that's avoidant, that would drive me insane too. So you probably find other ways to cope with that. So I'm not about to sit up here and be like, "Why would she do that? Why would she do that?" I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad she's telling us this. I am, because it's manipulated for him to even use this against her. Like, come on. Like, you know that this girl was really dedicated to you in this marriage, and you could just tell, just because she was really hoping for growth and she was relying on your potential, and you never lived up to it. So I just hate how he's going to weaponize this against her. And it's just, that's just how some toxic people are. The one thing that you do wrong, they will use it against you after you sit up there and you tolerate it so much. The one time that you do something, oh my God, it's the end of the world. So yeah, I hate that he's gonna pull that card with her.
In retrospect, me expressing how concerned I also was made him feel like he well, not even that, he felt invalidated and like I shut him down. And but the weird part is I went and I looked back at our text messages, and he texted me saying like, "I just need last night to never happen again." And I remember in the text message I saw it, and I said, "That will never happen again. I promise you, this is not a repeated behavior. That was a one-time incident. I will never drink that much again. I'm a tiny person. I have to just be honest about that." And then he sent me a kissy face. But then he didn't bring it up again until a year later when I asked for a divorce, and we were in I asked my therapist for a couple more sessions, and I said, "I just want to make sure like we have some closing out sessions, make sure we're coping well, making sure everything's good." And that's when he decided to bring it up, and I was very confused. And I was like, "Why are you bringing this up a year later?" He was like, "Well, you shut me down. I never want to talk about it again." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, I apologize. Like, I never want that. Like, I don't want you to feel like I shut you down like that. It's not okay." So I know he's probably going to talk about that. But again, I still feel bad for that situation because I know that must have freaked him out, and it was the beginning of our marriage. I don't know. Look,
I don't think it's that bad.
But,
I don't think it's that bad either.
That's fair enough. I don't think that's anything bad. So there's no. I just want to make it clear so that, because you know what's happened. Blogs.
I never cheated. I never cheated.
Yeah,
I never cheated. I never would.
Never emotionally. Never micro cheated.
Never emotionally. Never micro cheated. I never emotionally cheated. Never physically cheated. Never entertained anyone else. They'll say that I was entertaining that guy that night, but I don't know. But I know that's probably what he's going to bring up, which makes me really sad. And then he'll probably say I didn't support him enough.
Oh my gosh!
But that still doesn't give us.
I was hypercritical. Look, look.
Wait, sorry, just make it very clear. Sorry, I want to make it. How long into the marriage did the cheating happen?
We were, you know the funny part? You want to know the funny part? You want to know the funny part? Is I remember just 5 months into our marriage, I remember I was obsessively having this thought, like, I feel like I'm going to get a text message. I feel like I'm going to get an email, because I started to see that he had discipline issues and issues with self-control. And so I knew what that led to. And I was like, I just feel like I'm going to get something. And it was literally 3 days before, after The Altar was filming. And that was probably 9 to 10 months into our marriage when it was revealed to me that he cheated around the time that the show aired. Yeah. So, yeah.
So by the time we get to watch the show, that's when you find out that he cheated.
No, yeah. Well, around the time, it was a little bit after the reunion when I found out that he cheated. But he cheated the beginning of when the show first aired.
God damn.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the woman, like, she said she saw my picture in our home. She knew my address. She knew my apartment number. She had a picture of her friend in Jared's t-shirt in our living room.
Girl.
Yeah. And I got it via email. Man.
Literally. Wait. What the hell? Wait. What? Wait.
Yeah.
Now, I know, Yana, you gotta go soon, but listen, sorry, wait, before you do, because wait. What do you mean she knew all of this information? Like, she's out here scoping the territory. What do you mean she knew all this stuff? I'm so confused. How did she know?
He brought her to our home. He brought her and her friend to our home.
Girl, shut up.
I don't know. Look, I don't know what his intention was. They didn't have sex, but they were kissing and groping each other in our bed.
Girl.
And it wasn't until her friend was in the bathroom, saw some of my things, and was like, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And he drunkenly said, "I have a wife." And they said, "Oh, we gotta go. Yeah.
It's not looking good, bruv.
Yeah.
Ain't no way.
I can't believe that. And he gaslit the hell out of me after that. But you know what? I don't want to speak poorly on the man. I don't want to speak poorly.
No, you're not. Baby, you're not. No, you're not speaking poorly, baby. You're not. You're telling the truth, and you're allowed to do that. Listen, I know exactly how you're feeling when you want to cover somebody, right? Because I'm in the same person. But the truth is the truth. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just hurt. It's not. No point holding it back.
It amazes me how men feel so comfortable bringing randoms back to where they lay their head. I think that is insane. That is so dangerous to me. Oh my gosh. I will date men for weeks, sometimes months. One time I dated this man for like 6-8 months and he never knew where I lived. Girl, bringing randoms back to your place is so dangerous to me. Oh my God. Randoms. We're talking about randoms, right? Like randoms. That's crazy.
So you're telling me he gaslit the situation. What do you mean by he gaslit the situation?
Well, he didn't gaslit immediately after because he couldn't deny it. He really couldn't deny it. Again, I was sitting in between his legs while he was helping take out my box braids when I got the email. And immediately my heart just dropped. And I go, fuck this, I'm out. He's like, what is it? And I'm like, so you cheated on me. And I show it to him. And he's like, no, send that email to me. She's lying. Send that email to me. And so I asked her for details. And she gave me my address. She gave me my apartment number. She told me what was in our home.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. What did I do? And I immediately called producers. You need to film us separately. I'm divorcing this man. I can't do it. And my mom was like, again, like, Ayanna, you're making a very angry decision very quickly. I'm not saying don't leave him. What I am saying is making sure that you're even killed. The issue is that after the
listen, ladies, when you are making a decision and choice over your life, you have to tune out your family, your friends, and anyone that may be trying to influence you, because that disrupts your intuition. Her intuition was telling her to leave. Her intuition had been telling her to leave, but she kept listening to everyone else outside of herself. When you are the type of woman that seeks outside validation, you are compromising your entire you're compromising your guidance, basically. Like you're compromising your intuition, which is your guidance, your inner guidance, when you seek outside validation. And I used to be like that when I was younger. You know, I wanted my parents' approval. I wanted my friends' approval. I wanted my coach's approval. I wanted all of these people's approvals. And every time I would try to go seek approval from people outside of myself, I was miserable. So you have to give yourself that validation. You have to give yourself that reassurance. You have to trust your intuition, because it truly is your greatest gift. It's your inner guidance. It's your higher self communicating with you like, hey, sis, just to let you know, this ain't it. This is not it. And she decided to listen to her mother over herself. And I hope she learns from this. I hope you all learn from this because I love my mama to death. I do. But when it comes to certain choices and decisions, I don't really seek her for guidance because this is my life. This is my journey. And I have to make choices and decisions for myself that I have to live with that she does not have to live with. And it just really, it doesn't get any realer than that. Like, keep that in mind. You have to live with these choices and decisions. Your parents, your mother, she does not.
After the altar immediately started filming. And so I
Yeah,
didn't
I was
have
gonna
time
say,
to
yeah.
process. And so I had to quickly say, okay, Ayanna, you just have to protect your marriage until you can figure out what the hell is going on and what you're going to do. And so I went on after the altar and I told him, I was like, I'm not going to lie and say that we're all good. Like, I can't do that. And so we agreed, we'll just talk about an issue that we've already talked about because it was still an issue. And I was like, let's just address this and like keep it going.
No, it makes sense. Because when I reviewed after the altar, I was hard on you again. I said, you're being well critical. Like, you was judgmental, you were critical. There's a scene where you guys are sitting down talking with the gold stuff behind you lot, and you was going in on my boy. I said, why she goes so hard?
Because I was angry. It's because I was angry, and I wish I could have better like contained myself, but I just couldn't. I just kept ruminating about it. But yeah.
And he come clean eventually. Then, so he came clean eventually. He told you.
He had no choice. He came clean immediately. He was like, okay. He was like, yes, it happened, but we didn't have sex. I said, Jared, it's the fact that you invited it to our home. You had the intention of cheating, and that alone is okay for me. Like, I don't even care if the kissing and groping wasn't true. Like, bro, like, what, do you not see what's wrong here? And it was months later when I was still trying to cope through it. And I was again reading our text messages, and I saw him like, it won't always be like this. Like, eventually I will be able to heal. I just need you to be patient with me. And he was telling me things like, you're holding a grudge. And I was like, I'm not trying to hold a grudge, bro. Like, I'm trying to heal. I promise you I am. I just like that level of betrayal is like crazy. It's crazy. Like, you had her in our house, bro. Like,
yeah, that is crazy.
In my bed. Every time I looked at that bed, I was just like, yeah, I should have just left soon after that. But I was trying to push through. Yeah, it was my marriage, man. It was my marriage. Yeah.
No, that's mad. I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah, it was deep. And
that was the only one?
I wasn't out of town.
Was
there
there,
was some gray area. No, that was the only explicit time. There were some gray area things after that. But nothing like that. Nothing like that. Yeah. Not did he at least wash the sheets? Y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. I hope he did shit. You know, the funny part is I remember the day after, because I remember he was I remember because we had just gotten into an argument when the actual thing happened, but I was unaware. And I remember the day after I came back to because at that part I had already moved out. And granted, I felt that's probably why he felt comfortable enough to do that because I wasn't there at the moment. But literally the morning after I came to visit him because I wanted to talk and just be like, okay, look, I can't keep running like this. Let's work on this.
Wow.
And he was so drunk. And in retrospect, I keep thinking, what would you have done if I had walked in and those two women were still there?
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in that place, sometimes you don't really care, innit? Or sometimes you think you can get away with it. You know what I mean? You think you can get away with it, so it's not on your mind.
I will say I don't think he thinks like long term. A lot of the time, I think it's very quick gratification, like microwave results.
Impulsive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn. So that's so sad. So wait, the woman reached out to you by email. She sent you an email, but you knew that she DM'd you as well. But later on, you found out she DM'd you as well.
Yeah, because I searched her on and I realized she had DM'd me. Yeah. And I actually later messaged her. Actually, just only a few months ago, I messaged her. I was like, "Thank you for telling me," because I wouldn't have known, and because I knew in my gut feeling that he was capable of that, but I didn't have proof, and that was what drove me crazy. I didn't have proof, and because I kept feeling like, well, Ayanna, the incompatibility, him going, and that's not enough reason for you to leave the marriage. Like, what are you doing? That's not enough. And yeah, and so as soon as I had that proof, I was like, this is it, Ayanna, you can leave now. You can leave. And I was like, but wait, it's a marriage though. I've never been married before. I don't know, like.
Why do we do that?
Get over cheating. I heard they get over cheating. So I was like, well, maybe I can too. But I was with someone who just wasn't willing to grow and change, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Trying to get over cheating is
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's devastating.
Ladies, I had to learn the hard way that you don't need proof. You don't. This is why men call us what, witches, bitches, witches, and bitches, or whatever the hell. You don't need proof. It's just gaslighting. They love to call women crazy. Why do they do that? Why do they say women are crazy? Women are crazy. It's to gaslight you and convince you that you're wrong about the proof that you don't have, basically. But you don't need proof. Girl, if I even have to sit up here and think about it, it's a no. It's a no. Like, where am I even getting the inspiration from to feel like I should even be thinking this way? I'm with someone I should trust, right? I'm with someone that I put all of my trust in. If I have to even think that way, it's a no. So I've got called a witch because I didn't need proof. I know what my intuition is telling me, and you're not about to gaslight me with that. So that's the thing. When you're an empath, you pick up things through your senses. You tend to pick up things through your senses. You don't always have to see and have concrete proof. You just know. I've used this with friends and family and men. I don't need proof. I know that you're being a snake behind my back. That's all I need. I don't, if I have to sit here and think about it, it's just, it is what it is. And I've been right every single time. I've never been wrong when it comes to my instincts and my intuition. I've never been wrong, and I've never had concrete proof. I just know. That's it. That's all you need to know. You just know. That's all they need to know.
It really is devastating. I'm still sad that it didn't work out, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, why did I expect it to work out? Like, what? What?
No, but still, you can still have those feelings. You're allowed to have those feelings. Well, we have, as human beings, we're complex beings. We're allowed to have multiple feelings at the same time. You know what I mean? You can even have what we call cognitive dissonance. It's normal as a human being. You know, you can be angry and yet happy at the same time. It's just one of those things.
Two truths can exist. Yeah.
Two truths can exist. So you're allowed to have those feelings. You're okay with those feelings. It's not a problem at all. That is, I didn't even know it was that mad. I didn't. I heard it, but I didn't hear it then properly in the clip, because that is crazy, baby. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry you went through that. You know?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, it's not fine,
nice.
but it is now.
It is not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions, but I have a question. But I don't have a question.
Okay.
As you're saying all of this, is coming out of you now. Like, how are you processing it? Like, I know it's gonna sound weird because we're deep people. So I think you understand what I'm saying. How are you processing it right now? Like, as you're talking about it now, how are you processing the situation right now? Like, how are you seeing the situation right now?
I don't know if this is and I can't tell because I'll know it. I'll give me a couple months and I'll know for sure. But like right now, it just feels like I'm just saying what happened. It feels similar to when I talk about things that happened in my childhood. It's like, oh, I'm just saying it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm just saying it. It doesn't there right now. I don't know if it's because I processed it all or what, but it just or if I'm just numb at the moment. But like, it's just like this is what happened. It is what it is type of.
You guys, she just got a divorce 5 months ago. Her divorce is final. She's been living in denial. If you go watch her podcast, she's been living in denial about how healed she is. She has acknowledged that she's not as healed as she thought she was, that because she was holding this secret, it kept her from being able to heal. So please give her some grace. I mean, you guys, healing is a life journey. Like, it's forever. So if you feel like she's still holding on, parts of herself probably still is, which is pretty normal. It's normal. It's normal. I'm sorry that we live in this culture where they try to tell you, oh, just F them and move on. In real life, when you develop an attachment to someone with emotions, feelings, and all of that, and you have shared mental space with another person, it's not easy for you to just be so unbothered and just detached. That's not real life. And this is why I'm saying, please go outside and get your own experiences, because if you get your own experience, you'll understand why she's kind of like in this weird space where it's just like, yes, like I know I made the right decision, but I'm still hopeful still. And it's because she's in two mindsets. She's trying to choose what's best for her, but then also she still has to deal with the attachment. She still has an attachment with this man. It takes time for you to release that attachment. I think she's going to get to that point. but she still needs to heal more. I do think it's a little alarming that she is dating, but hey, everybody heals in their own way and they do it in their own way. And I'm not about to sit here and just be like, why is she doing that? Why can't she just get over it? It's not that simple. It's not. And then you also have to think that when they bonded off of trauma. When they bonded off of this show that not a lot of us like we've never experienced it. I've also noticed that she has Natalie in a photo behind her bed, and it seems like she's became really close friends with her because her and Natalie kind of have shared a similar experience on the show. And I think that when you go on shows like this, you become close with the people that you shared an experience with that most people in society don't experience. So please keep all of this in mind. Like even Tiffany and Brett of this new season, like they get to share that experience with being on a show like Love is Blind, going through an experiment with each other, and they always will have that connection. So a trauma bond, I'm just being honest with you guys, it's not easy to break. It's very hard to break. Natalie definitely dodged. That's a mess. I'm not even going to get into that, but please understand, like, this is what healing looks like. You may live in two realities. You know what you need to do for yourself, but you're still struggling with processing your emotions while doing what is best for yourself. So it's just part of the process.
Things like there's no, I mean, I feel devastated, yes, but there's not like true emotion connected to it yet. On the podcast, when I talked about it, no, that was emotion. That was emotion. I was like crying all over the place. Again, it ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I can just like talk about it. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, this happened. And then other times it's like, like it's like I'm reliving it all over. But that's like trauma. That's trauma, and that's healing. Like that shit is not linear for real. And I say it all the time, but those words come back to bite me in the ass. Healing is not linear. I just want it to be done with, you know.
I agree. No, I just wondering. No, I wasn't even thinking. I was just thinking that, like, I wonder how it was, because obviously now you're saying it. It's like, again, it's like sometimes I like to ask how people are feeling in that moment of when they're actually releasing it again, because sometimes it can be a cathartic release.
I will
sometimes
say it does feel cathartic though. Yeah, it feels cathartic as hell. It feels nice to just like, oh my God, because if I didn't have my podcast, I would have been suffering in silence and I would have been just fine. But because I have my podcast, it puts this weight on me because I talk to my audience all the time about how I'm trying my best to be authentic, and that is not an easy task. And I'm trying my best to be vulnerable because that's what my podcast is about. So like, I would be a hypocrite if I didn't talk about the things that are, that I'm going through. Granted, if I was still married, I'd still be protecting my marriage because it's my marriage, but I'm not anymore. I'm not married anymore. I'm just not. And it happened. It's something I'm going through. It's something I'm processing. So yeah, again, if I didn't have that podcast though, I wouldn't have talked about it. I would have just.
I get it, man. I do get it, because I remember someone called me out last year because the way I tell stories about my childhood, because the way, like that's why I was trying to ask you what you felt, and you just kind of encapsulated it right there, where you said like sometimes it's just I'm just saying it, but the person was like you're kind of minimalizing. But I'm like, I'm not. I feel like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like what we say, it is what it is. So if I'm explaining it, sometimes I'm telling a story like, yeah, this happened to me. The person's like, do you know how deep that was? I'm like, well, it's what it is. I mean, like I was there, it happened. Like I and I felt like when you were saying it, that's what you're almost kind of saying. That says like it is what it is, and it's quite interesting that you had that perspective on the situation. That's why I was kind of asking that, But then I kind of identified with you when you said you didn't want to make him the bad guy, almost in a sense by tarnishing him. But the reality is, it's your truth, and you are allowed to say your truth. And I think we do find it hard as healers to do that because we naturally want to be in a healing place. We want to protect people. It can be really difficult to kind of just come out and be like, well, this is the hard, cold facts, because we understand how that paints a picture of the other person. We don't want them to be put in a certain light, because also we wouldn't want to be put in a certain light. We want to be cautious about how we do that. So I understand where you're coming from in that,
Yeah. You get it.
Whew, listen, man, we'll talk later, man, because listen, I've taken a lot of your time today. And I really do appreciate and honor the fact you came on here. I know it's impromptu, but honestly, we appreciate you. We would love to have you back here. Okay, so I will slide my IG, because I'm sure you got too many messages for me to slide in yours, because if I do, I'll get lost. I'll put mine in the background. You slide in mine, not because I'm bougie, but because I know I'll get lost in yours. I don't want to end up as a request,
Oh, I'm
but honestly,
my phone right here. Okay. Yes.
Oh, you're just gonna be a phone. Like I was looking for my glasses. Don't worry about
it. But yes, thank you for having me and for allowing me. I know you were a little shocked by it, but yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you for prompting me. I mean, I like having conversations like this. I don't shy away from stuff like this. Like it is what it is. So again, thank you.
No worries, man. Next time we'll have a conversation about something else, something deep about something else. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I like it.
We'll talk. I appreciate it. Much love.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Nice.
Hi.
Appreciate it, babe. Whew.
This was a great interview. This was a really good interview. This was really good. Honestly, I felt like she was more open during this interview than she was on her podcast. That's just me being honest. I think she opened up a lot more about the situation than she did in her podcast because he just asked all the right questions. So, shout out to Little Black Book 91. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel so you can check out some of his other videos. But he did a really good interview. You know, give credit where credit is due. So that's all that I have regarding this video. I hope that this is helpful. I wanted to talk about how sometimes listening to your own mother may not be in your best interest. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but you have to make decisions that are best for yourself because you have to live with those decisions. Your mother does not. So that's all that I have regarding this video. Please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you in my next one. I do have a quick question though before I let you go. Did you guys want me to talk about the Tyrese situation? I just found out about his ex-wife's YouTube channel. I find it interesting that she tends to do red pill content while also taking this man to court and how he's ordered to pay $600,000 in child support. So yes, Samantha Lee is her YouTube channel. She makes a lot of commentary videos around red pill. Tyrese, his ex-wife, Samantha Lee Gibson. Okay, well, Samantha Lee now. She has a YouTube channel where it's basically red pill. Yes, girl. I was over there earlier today. I said, girl, let me find out because I went down a rabbit hole and I'm listening to some of these red pill content creators and they're like, see, I told you. That's why you shouldn't get married. That's why you shouldn't get married. Lo and behold, this woman is over here making red pill content. So I think that's interesting. Yes, check out her YouTube channel. If you would like for me to do a video, let me know. So everyone was getting on Melanie King, but Samantha Lee, she doing the same thing out here in these streets. So make sure you guys stay woke out here because I be seeing it. I definitely be seeing it. So you ladies enjoy the rest of your evening. If there are any men on here, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will catch you in my next one.